Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 327.
Yes.
This is we're going to be full NPR today and on our best behavior.
Hi.
Because this is like
Let me
this is-
do it like NPR.
shut the hell up.
Hi.
Shut up. We're busy. We are. This is like when the teacher has the principal sitting in the back of the class, and she's. I never went to school, so I'm assuming. This is how I always pictured it before the movie got dirty. Is that? Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty podcast. This is episode number 327 of East San Francisco's favorite podcast. Jeremiah Morrill, Dakota Davis, executive video producer, audio engineer, Zach Burcham. We are being audited. Slur that?
Right, you can do it.
Officer.
He's high
There's
on
one
Pizza
too many
King.
tonight. Pizza King
Sorry.
really did him in.
I had one chocolate covered pretzels and woo.
He had the
Oh, you didn't
vodka
have
sauce
you
at
didn't have
Pizza
Brian's
King.
special pretzels, did you?
The ones for his back.
Make you feel real good.
Dakota,
Real
Dakota, to your part.
Today's episode features Mr. Chris Spangle, who is from BET, and he is here to entertain us all, not just Harry. And Harry is here from Low-Key Wall,
That was very clever.
and Harry's here. He's from the
Dakota
Low-Key
pulls out
Wall
these
show.
quips.
We're going to be talking to Harry about all kinds of things, not
But not
just
BET.
internet security and IT work. We're also going to probably talk about vehicles, Harry. I hope you're ready.
Good.
And then we also have Mr.
We have
Brian Nichols.
We have some
from-
very passionate hot takes about rotary engines. Be prepared.
I have a lot. The Rotary's back. It's great. It's amazing.
It's Wankle Wednesday, everybody.
That's a great segment. Stealing
We
that.
also have Mr. Brian Nichols from the Brian Nichols Show, who is in the studio, this side of the studio building
I'm
tonight.
your neighbor, yeah. It's
Um,
weird over here.
We just wanted to point out all the dust on the ground and how you've chosen to walk over it.
He's a really he believes in property rights. He
I
only
pay
tends to his
rent
side.
on that side
Right.
of the studio, Jer.
There is an empty box of chocolates. There is a box of tea, an open jar of honey. They are all on the desk tonight, and that is what we talked about in Patreon. And if you want to hear any of that, then you have to go to patreon.com/BossHogOfLiberty. That's where you can support the show on a monetary level every month. They start out at $5 a month. They go all the way up to $50 a month.
Sure do.
This show is about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you. Other times we'll make you laugh. But hopefully you'll always learn something new. Tonight we're going to learn about diversity with Chris. $50 or more a month, Dakota. Who are those people?
$50 or more, you get a shout out at the front of the show and your business / whatever you want to plug. And those folks are Miss Christy Avery from all the way in Fort Wayne, Indiana, our favorite Norwex dealer. Mr. Jonathan Phillips, our favorite car dealer in the continental United States. Andy Moore, Buick GMC in Fishers, Indiana. And then Mr. Anthony Meyer, who's, I wonder if he's being able to catch his breath after the Christmas rush, or is now just all the returns are being processed. So maybe it's even busier.
Did you guys have a good Christmas?
Had a great Christmas.
Do you have
Very
stuff to
good.
return?
No.
Gift cards? Are you rich in gift cards?
No, not anymore.
No.
Yeah, I didn't get one
Not-
gift card.
You've seasoned through into just socks and underwear?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a dad now. We're everybody's a dad here.
Congrats on the
Minus
sex.
Jer, and
Not me.
you just that's when it dries up because all the presents are now for your kids.
Yep.
Correct.
And you
It's
care
not
about the
about you
presents for the
anymore.
kids. It's like
Yeah.
I got a cool present from my dad. It was a set of LED lights that I really wanted and a Weber grill. But my dad just is super extra, But everybody, it's really about like seeing your kid get the Play-Doh ice cream sundae with the real slime drizzle, and then spending like her favorite present was we got her the princess bicycle, not Santa, because that fat man doesn't need the credit. So we got her a princess bicycle. Her favorite gift was the $6 pair of craft scissors, her first pair of scissors. And so while her bike is sitting there, as she has opened the bike, she's like, you know what? Runs over, gets her scissors, and starts cutting the paper
Yeah.
off the bike. It's just fun how their little brains work. So it was like great for those experiences. to,
Jackson
like,
is
kids.
obsessed with scissors.
Yeah.
Just Every time we wrapped presents, it was just saving a chunk of paper for him so that he could cut it into the microscopic pieces that get caught in the rug and you have to sweep up.
On your way home, Santa brought her craft paper too, like 2 big things
Brilliant.
of craft paper.
Ooh.
And so today, I mean, it looked like a New Orleans parade with all the confetti because she's
Confetti.
just cutting. She's cutting me basketballs as we're watching the Pacers. Like, she's on fire.
Yeah. I gave Gunther a real pair of scissors finally. She finally graduated with real scissors. She can't use them at school, though. But, it's pretty dangerous with them, though. Because she's, man, a little running around the house with them right now. But it's okay.
Has she tried to cut her hair?
No. Fortunately, that has not happened yet.
Barbie's hairs.
No Barbie's hair yet. I think it's mainly because I very emphasis on this is for paper and paper only,
Smart,
and we
yeah.
have different scissors for fabric, and this scissors are for hair, and those scissors that she knows these are directly for hair. She can't get.
That's
to.
actually a really good idea. Yeah.
Harry, I feel like you're a guy that would have his own dedicated meat cutting scissors. Do you have meat scissors in the
I
house?
do actually do.
Yeah, I felt like Harry would definitely have a set.
Harry has scissors for every
Who
project.
doesn't have meat scissors in their house?
Yeah,
What kind of scissors would you use for chicken? And
Yeah,
the same
and
scissors I
pork
open
and-
the mail with?
I actually have separate scissors for chicken and pork. I've got one set. The red one is for.
You don't
pork
have
and the
kosher
black-
scissors, you animal. This is why we had to bring the diversity
I don't-
officer
I don't
in
use
to
the
explain
scissors,
this
just
to
use
you.
your chef's knife.
Oh, have you never used scissors?
I use a chef knife.
Oh man,
I'm very
scissors
skilled
far-
with it. I don't
The
need
Koreans
scissors.
are correct. Scissors are far superior kitchen utensil.
yeah, I love the scissors.
Yeah.
Got it.
Nice
But
job,
our
Haley.
scissors are all stainless and they just come apart so that you can flop them in the
Did
dishwasher.
you get the big
It's
ones so
very
you can
nice.
pick your whole hand into it
Oh,
too?
yeah, dude, they're
those are
great.
really nice. I like those. Yeah.
Scissor talk on the Boss Hog of Liberty, ladies and gentlemen.
Zach, have you got any
Nothing like it.
scissoring idea? Any
Yeah.
scissoring
For a second,
comments?
I was
Scissoring
lost the
tips?
channel we were on.
No, I was keeping to myself on that one.
See that? The Lions and the Cowboys play on
The-
Saturday. We get to
Harry,
watch
we
my
would be
team
great
lose.
on QVC.
I know we could sell scissors all day.
Brian,
So,
your
like-
Brian, your team's playing Monday Night Football on Saturday night. How do you feel about that?
Yeah,
You know why?
Why?
The NFL gave up on January 1st. They gave it to the children because college football is for the kids.
Makes sense. Well, yeah,
New Year's Day.
I think also the NFL just really wants money. Money.
They
'cause
don't
now
want
have
anybody to be distracted when
Thursday.
when Dan Campbell and his Lions come to town.
They have
They're
Thursday
creeping into
night
Saturday
football,
now.
Friday night football. They have Saturday night football, Sunday, Monday. So the only 2 days you're not having football are Tuesday and Wednesdays.
Al
That's
Michaels,
nuts.
Does anyone
Thanks-
watch Thursday Night Football on Twitch?
No.
it's usually terrible. It's on Amazon.
They-
It's
they
usually a
had-
bad game.
I think they
Al
have, like,
Michaels has now
10
officially
plus
called
million.
an NFL game on every day of the week. Now he can die.
Wow.
Yeah. Because of COVID.
die.
Oh, that's
Now-
right.
yeah.
COVID season.
COVID
that's right,
COVID
yeah.
pushed it around enough, and then I think he called a Thursday game
What
at
a
Thanksgiving.
weird year.
So
COVID
he,
year was
or I guess he's done Thursday all year. He did. Or it was the Friday game. It was the first NFL Friday game they ever had, and it was the
Oh.
day game, the Black Friday
The
game.
Black, which was
Yeah.
brilliant.
Al Michaels called that game. By the way, there's a backstory on the law on that one too. Did you know that? That game had to be played mid-afternoon because when the NFL allowed the AFL, Congress allowed the NFL and the AFL to merge,
Okay.
and they had a carve-out that said you can't counter-program high school football. So you cannot, by law, have an NFL game after like 6 p.m. on a Friday. So that's why that game was played at like 3 in the
No
afternoon.
kidding.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nice.
I'm a basketball fan now. I always was more of a basketball
You
fan.
have, you
but
must have Bally
we went
Sports
to-
money.
You've been talking about the Pacers a lot lately.
we went
too.
to
I
a
noticed
Pacer
that.
game, and it reminded me how much I loved watching basketball. And so we every other night
In
now watch a
person.
Pacer game. Yeah,
In person
it was so
especially.
fun. But it's so much quicker than the NFL. It's like the same. You used to watch the football game and then watch a baseball game and go, "Oh, this is so slow." It's
Are
like,
you going in person to the Pacers game?
Oh, we don't have that kind of money. No,
think
I
the
was given
context-
tickets.
I think
Yeah.
the context is different too because it's a
Yeah.
smaller court. These guys
Yes.
are ginormous human beings. Like
It's-
they take 4 steps and they cross the entire court.
You go to a Pacer game.
Where a football field's 300
It's
feet.
huge.
Yeah.
But when you go to a Pacer game, the entire hour and a half, 2 hours you're there, you are entertained by something.
Right.
When they take a break, there's
That's the way the NFL is
trapeze
in
artists
person.
and the dancers
It
and the
seems
lights.
like with what you were saying with the NFL being slow, it seems like anymore there's so many flags
Yeah.
on every
Oh my
play.
God.
Every
This
play.
year has been excruciating.
And then
it's been
For
so
some
bad.
reason, the officials feel like they have to do a 10-minute monologue every time that there's a flag and walk over there, puffed chest, click the button for their microphone and then do their sign language.
You know who set the whole stage up for the refs to do this pomp and circumstance? It's Ed Hockley. I blame Ed Hockley, that jacked SOB.
He should just gotten
He's
old
a
and fat
lawyer
like the
too.
rest
That was
of
his
them.
day job, and then he's like, "I'm gonna be a ref. Why not?"
There's just
His son does it now.
Yeah, he does.
Sean.
He does the exact same thing his dad does.
Everybody in the
flex.
NFL's at 500. It's it's I don't know. There's just something about the NFL that isn't the same as like 10 years ago when I was watching it. I think there's the quarterbacks
two
aren't
things.
as elite.
I think you're having more injuries because you. Welcome to the Wall sports segment of the show.
Yeah.
We've gone from pocket passers, so Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, those guys were all pocket passers. Now we've gone to where these guys are running around. So you've got Tua Tagovailoa who gets his head smacked on the ground and misses time.
Anthony Richards for the Colts.
Anthony Richardson gets hurt. Aaron Rodgers, first damn play of the game, his ligament snapped because he's my age. But you've had like 14 of the teams are on their original quarterback. The rest of the league has had to go to their backups at least for significant.
And if you don't have a good quarterback, you don't have a team.
You're screwed.
Well, and let me put my old man hat on really quick. I mean, goodness, like the part of the problem is that
Welcome to Indiana.
Yeah,
You
I'm
fit
here
in.
now. I'm embracing my role. No, but like part of the problem too is that there has been such a focus away from like truly practicing, trying to focus on the details. Like you're seeing it, the quality in the game on the field is diminished. Like you mentioned 10 years ago, it's not the same game. It's a completely different game.
Yeah.
And you're missing out on that quality and the attention to detail that really does help not only make a better quality game, but it avoids the injuries. Like if your offensive linemen are garbage, your quarterback's going to get hurt.
Yeah.
If your quarterback's going to get hurt, you're going to have a subpar quarterback throwing the ball to your receivers. That means that your receivers aren't going to have quality passes coming their way, which means you're going to try to rely on the running back, which means the defenses are going to know you're going to be running the ball. They're going to be playing against your run game.
You've cut practice down to almost nothing. Training camp is like 2 weeks.
The Cowboys just had their. I'm a Cowboys fan. That's my sin, my cross to bear here.
I knew it.
I know it's. I know.
Just
You
look
see
at
the
him. You can
Cowboys
see it in his face.
Yeah, it's the attitude.
They just
Yeah.
had their
Yeah.
last padded practice
Accepting losses.
where they could hit each other.
Oh, really?
There's 3 more weeks in the season.
Like-
They can't tackle each other anymore.
Well,
Like-
and the thing with basketball is like Reagan doesn't really follow sports, but she doesn't mind watching it because there's action. There's like you don't really have to know the players. There's exciting plays.
It's
there's 5 of them.
self-explanatory, too. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
Whereas
Get ball,
football,
shoot.
you don't
West
really,
Virginia 17, North Carolina 10 in the
And you
Duke's Mayo Bowl
score every
game right now.
14 seconds.
Right, and then now they're scoring up to 152 a game.
Which is
Yeah.
nuts.
It's crazy.
I remember back when they
smaller.
used to play defense.
Yeah.
You can't do
Jim
that now.
Boeheim. Yeah.
So here's my quarrel with the
defense, no
NFL right
traveling.
now. 2 things are happening that cause people to pay attention. One, fantasy football is taking over the world.
Yeah.
Yes.
But they're destroying their product because today, to save $40 million, the Waltons, who own the Denver Broncos, have benched Russell Wilson for the next 2 weeks.
Why?
Because there's a clause that says that if he's hurt and can't pass a physical March 1st, they have to pay him $40 million additional.
Guaranteed.
So they just benched his ass and said, yeah, we're probably not going to win anything, so we're done.
And he's not that good to begin with, so they don't
He's a
wanna
Super
pay him.
Bowl winning quarterback, but yeah, it's fine.
But not this season.
No, well, the Broncos aren't that good yet. They're rebuilding. So anyway,
Rebuilding year.
there are, as I said on Facebook today,
Isn't he guaranteed
And if the
85 million?
Waltons don't have $40 million,
they paid
what
$4
hope do we
billion
Well, he's
for the
already
team.
guaranteed 85.
Yeah,
Right.
so it's an
So
additional
The
$40
economy's
million.
in the toilet.
It'd
The
be like
economy's bad
If
for
Russell
these-
Wilson gets his money, it's going to cost you an extra nickel for those chicken cutting scissors
The
down at
billionaires
Walmart.
are struggling too.
Listen, Jack.
Exactly.
It's Bidenomics.
So
Frank Reich is struggling. Let's appreciate
yeah,
Frank Reich getting fired twice.
Frank's been fired twice in 12 months and
And
walked
meanwhile,
away
he's
with $50
making like
million.
$80 million
Guaranteed
a month.
contracts. Yeah. What a life. If Frank Reich, if you want to invest anywhere,
Just become a patron, please.
So anyway,
Same Andrew Bowman.
the NFL has their fantasy football problem. People are playing their championship game this weekend with hundreds of dollars on the line and things they worked on all year.
Yeah.
And then Russell Wilson, who might have been your starting quarterback, just got benched. And they said, sorry, screw you,
you could
Jer.
hear him like
Yeah.
have the intensity.
And
He knew it was
secondly,
personal.
more
Angry.
important, I lost in a very sad matchup last week, so I'm
So did
in
I.
the 3rd place game. The other more money on the line. People have legitimate money on it.
And I was just about to say that.
We have massive gambling industry here.
You're not even in all 50 states, but the reason that Mark Cuban just sold his basketball team to a woman named Adelson who runs a major casino in Vegas is because with the collapse of these, like, try to find a basketball game. It's impossible unless you have one carrier, which my brother fortunately has a login for.
Bally, which is bankrupt.
We don't have Bally. He has like the dish, one of the dishes, and so you have one of the dishes. You can watch everything. Otherwise, you're out of luck. You're not watching basketball because the Bally's, what used to be Fox Sports Regional, that's all collapsing. So the only way that these franchises in all of these major sports are going to make money is off of gambling.
Yep, it's all
which
the
has
DraftKings advertising revenue.
and it's all on your phone, and it's gamified, and it has massive implications for the mental health of the men in this country.
Yep.
And it has massive implications for the financial welfare of regular middle class and lower class families.
But when you already had your parlay for the week put together, and then the Broncos sit their freaking quarterback down, somebody's not going to make rent this month.
Right. And so the reason that you are now seeing these teams, like why are the Washington Bullets, I will not call them the Capitals. What are they
Jesus
called?
Christ. How many sports is he going to
Washington
say?
Bullets.
Wizards? The Capitals play hockey.
No, whatever.
The Bullets are pew-pew.
And
they've been gone.
The
And Michael
Bullets and the
Jordan wore
Wizards,
the Wizards jersey.
The Bullets and the Wizards and the Capitals are all
soon
moving.
Soon they'll be the Virginia Wizards.
I'm just terrorizing you. But the reason they're moving into Arlington is because they're getting public money. And so to own an NFL team is to become a billionaire off of gambling from middle class and lower class people who don't have it, and from taxpayers who also don't have it.
Yep.
But these cities like Indianapolis, the sports strategy worked. People want to live in Indianapolis. They want to go to Indianapolis. I love living downtown, right? And so
I caught heat over this.
It's going to become an increasingly predatory segment of our society. In 10 to 20 years, professional sports will be one of the most predatory evils in America.
I caught heat over this, but the stadium, the arena that the Bullets built is the same age as Gainbridge Fieldhouse is. And I don't know what's going to happen when the last Simon brother dies, but Indianapolis better be damn sure that they've got that thing locked up for 20, 25 years in the future.
Yeah.
Or else Nashville's going to come calling.
Well, the city,
or Seattle's going to come
calling. The city
calling.
gave them a bailout. The Pacers are deeply, deeply invested in the city in a way that the Colts are too, but the oldest is the baseball stadium, which is still very nice, still an industry. There's an ice skating rink right now that you can take your family to. They've upgraded.
They've continued
that
to
whole
add
space.
money to that.
Yeah,
but those things buy you another 5 to 10 years.
Right.
They don't buy you. You and I are now of a certain age where we can remember RCA Dome was aging. They were saying there was the morning where John Clayton is sitting there before a Colts game in December saying, "Man, they are moving this team to Los Angeles like in 2 years."
Yeah.
Like the threats were real and they were there, and these
Like
these stadiums are the same age now as they were when they were moving them.
Yeah.
And we've now watched an entire life cycle where Atlanta built a stadium for the Olympics. They've already moved on to the new place.
Yeah.
Like the Redskin Commander football team has two stadiums and they want a third.
I think,
right?
But I think in 10 years, first of all, it's the Pacers, and I love the Pacers, but the Pacers are an eighth in the Eastern team, and will always be an eighth in the Eastern team. They're not like the Fever, who are going to get 2 first-round draft picks 2 years in a row and be a monster, massive hit, but they're still not going to sell out Gainbridge. The Pacers don't sell out Gainbridge. I mean, if they were the Lakers, then you might have that discussion. But the problem in 10 years
we don't have
is
mass transit.
The cost to taxpayers is going to be so exorbitant that you're gonna start to see these cities start to push back. It's not like, or say, 10, 15 years ago where the city knows if the Colts leave, we go back to Indianapolis and the whole strategy falls apart. I don't think you could be in that situation with the Pacers, because I think in 10 years, it's like the Olympics. Nobody wants to host the Olympics anymore. Nobody wants to host the World Cup. The benefits now don't match. And that opens up, all of the moral quandaries and slavery. that goes with that.
Live money is going to dominate American sports in all assets.
Yeah, the only way they can make that up is through gambling.
So you are seeing pressure. The NFL, the players' union, has been very vocal about wanting all of these playing surfaces changed to real natural grass. Brenda Greider says you confused me. I thought it was Thursday. Yeah, it's
They moved it for me, and then my photo shoot got moved to noon. So we could have done it.
Yeah, you never know. You never know what's happening. The NFL is getting pressured by their union to move to all grass, and they're saying that you just exactly what you're talking about for the World Cup. They're ripping out the sod in Cincinnati off their field and all of these others, and they roll in grass just for the soccer games.
Wow.
They did it at Lucas Oil when they had a European group come in and they played soccer there. They put real grass down for those games, and then they rip it back up and put the turf back in.
Well, hell, they put the monster dirt. Have you ever been to a Monster Jam?
Monster Jam's the best.
It's
So-
awesome.
Yeah.
So
With
that,
the monster
much-
trucks with the
so much
dirt in the Lucas Oil. Oh, it's
Yeah.
awesome.
the estimate
great.
is it's $15 to $20
It's the
million
best.
a year. They could do every stadium, and it would cost the team $15 to $20 million a year to do the legit grass.
Mhm.
But these billionaire owners don't want to pay for
Yeah.
it. That's the fight you're seeing.
Yeah.
So the unions are putting a massive pressure on, which
Well,
I
that's
know
the problem
Dakota's
with football is
Dakota's
what
the
you
big
guys are
union guy, so
describing
I'm
is
sure he's on the player side.
like the lack of practice. Like that's simply to protect the health of the players. Like how many more of these guys need? It's like
How many
wrestling.
players have torn their Achilles in MetLife?
But I'm saying like
this year, though.
with the CTE and all
oh,
that.
yeah, for sure.
The NFL, if it exists in 35 years, I'll be amazed.
But like, if you're an
least in its
owner of
current
a
schedule.
team,
Yeah.
you're if I'm an owner of a team and I'm seeing the quality of the product I'm delivering be just drastically reduced, and namely because the quality of the players is being reduced because you're losing all of your quality players to injury, I think it just makes sense then to say, okay, we need to make this as an investment, so we're protecting the longevity of the game, but also
Right.
we're protecting the quality of the product we're putting back out. I mean, this goes back to what we were talking about with the refs and stuff. Like, as the refs have been ruining the game with throwing as many flags as they have this year, more and more people are complaining about it. It's
Yeah.
like it's getting to the point now where not only the fans have been complaining, players are complaining, coaches are complaining. It's every single week, but it's impacting the actual like product that's coming out. Now, at what point does that impact advertisers? Well, the eyeballs are still there, and
Yeah.
that's the part that we have to see what will follow. Like, will the eyeballs leave?
I'm
If they
doing my
leave-
part.
You're doing your part? No. I told him he looked like white Dak Prescott, and he was like, "Thanks." And he
No
had
clue.
no idea. Then I showed him a picture, and he goes, "Oh, yeah."
He does actually, yeah.
And
no
that's
idea.
not,
You look mediocre.
All right,
That's a
hey,
hard
hey,
road to go.
let Harry talk.
most of the sports fans, for lack of a better term, are kind of like they're kind of stupid because they keep turning in and watching. Even the sport, because we have the same issue when it comes to just sports video game. People keep buying the
Yep.
crap from EA for
Yep.
FIFA and Madden for decades now, and they
Yep.
keep buying, even though it's the same crap.
And nothing's changed.
And nothing has changed. That's an easy
Isn't
change.
that
Just
the
don't
question
buy it.
across the board? Why do we keep doing the things we hate? We know we don't like this stuff. It's like,
and I'll tell you why.
why
because
do we
don't
eat at
have
McDonald's when
options.
we know it's terrible?
Because we don't have options. At least we don't think we do. But I mean, going
Correct.
back to EA, right? The last great football game I truly remember was ESPN NFL 2K5. It was a Sega game,
Yeah.
and Madden was from Madden EA were so afraid of this game that they went and they purchased the licensing
They stole
for the
the
NFL
licensing.
for 10 years. And then they just got that renewed again back
Yeah.
in like it was like 2016
Correct,
somewhere
yeah.
in there.
It's
Up
It's
in-
like
into the future, yes.
Yeah.
So this billion-dollar industry, and it's not really, and they mostly make their money off of gambling, just like the regular NFL.
yeah, so
does,
there's
or-
no
or
there's
NHL,
no choice now. So like, if you
It's-
want
and,
to play
and
a
that's
game,
that's like the issue with Bally Sports where you can't really watch the NBA because of the contract money, or like IndyCar has the best. I hate the cord. I am a cord cutter, but I hate it because it's impossible to watch anything, especially live sports, without spending another $100 on $10 a month here and there. And but IndyCar, it's like $5 a month. You just sign up and everything's on IndyCar. They give you the best coverage. You get to see every test stuff. No fan other than Jeremiah care about. but they're shopping the TV money because if
Zach
they get a
cares.
big
Have you met Zach Bertram?
I was going to say, like, racing's not that way. You
they
can
give-
buy every racing segment of what you want, what
Right.
you want to watch.
Right, and then if they get them a bunch of TV money, they can actually make the teams work a little bit better because they get all the money. But then the fan loses out because they're going to have to go over here and watch it on cable here or streaming on this one, and then you don't know how to watch a race, and so the experience is better. So you go, I'm out. Bye. I don't know how to watch NASCAR, so I don't watch it anymore.
And
I
that's
watch
the
it-
reason. So I have not watched a Pacers game.
It's impossible.
I haven't watched a Pacers game in probably 4 seasons.
Yeah.
I'm a happy Google YouTube TV subscriber, and they are off the radar for me. And the problem is that I don't care.
Right.
Right. And I grew up
You
in
would
the
watch
90s.
them if you really, yeah.
I grew up in the 90s with Travis Best and Reggie Miller and Austin
Right.
Crozier and, Rick Smits, Dale Davis, Antonio Davis, all of, I could name the roster today from 1996. I couldn't tell you 3 players that are on the team now, and it doesn't upset me because they've lost me. I just don't care. And it probably started with the brawl, but they've lost the generation of 35, 40-year-old
Right.
people that are now making the money where they could be the season
Right.
ticket holders. There's
Right.
nothing there. There's no emotional connection, and I couldn't give a damn.
You know
Whereas
what's
the
missing?
Colts did keep that. They did like so much about entertainment now is activating that nostalgia.
Story.
Yeah.
Story.
Yeah.
You need
Right.
the story. Like, this is the Gary Vaynerchuk, like, why he is so focused on you establishing a narrative. Like, what's your story?
Yeah.
And it's because you have to have, so, like, you were going back, like, I know none of those players. I'm not a big basketball fan. But, like, for you, that attaches a time frame, a nostalgic memory in mind. And, like,
See, they're showing you're not a real Hoosier right now.
I know.
It's very
Okay.
sad.
You need to know
Here, you
these
ready? I'm gonna
names.
make this even worse. Like 90s Cowboys. I think of Troy Aikman,
Yeah.
Emmett Smith, Larry Allen.
It's really
Michael
why, as a
Irvin.
Cowboys fan is because of nostalgia. You have nothing else. Not
100%.
playoff wins.
Absolutely. I'll say 100% admit
Leon-
that.
Your quarterback
Leon
is
let-
They
legitimately
won a-
great.
They
but
won a
Chris
Super Bowl
Boniol-
last time before Dakota was born.
Right, yeah.
Like 1995. Yeah, that's how long ago it was. 96, right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was before you were born. So, like, yeah.
Well,
so,
the game was played in his lifetime.
But, like, think about that. Is that because there was a
you go.
story that was being told, and, like, now that story is something you can tell your kids. Like, I was telling my wife, the Cowboys just played the Bills, and they got their asses kicked this past week or a couple weekends ago.
You're reminding her
Uh,
of how you
it's
won
tough-
those 2 Super Bowls against them.
No. What I was reminding her it was my first ever football game, and it was when I went to go see the Bills in the Cowboys game. It was Monday Night Football in 2007. I brought my dad. It was his first ever football game too, and it was a crazy game. Romo threw 5 interceptions in the first half. Cowboys were getting their asses kicked. They came back second half. They ended up they scored a touchdown. They were down by 2 points. They went for the 2-point conversion. They didn't get it. Went for an onside kick. Got the onside kick. Then the end of the game, they had to kick a 52-yard field goal. They made it, but the head coach called timeout for the Bills, so they iced the kicker. Then he had to kick it again, and he did, and it all happened right in front of my dad and I. And like there was a
2007.
story that was attached to the team because it was Tony Romo, Jason Witten, like all these names that were part of the Cowboys for like entire 10
Is that they travel
going.
around every 2
Yeah, like, if
years.
you
Mixing
were a
super
late-
teams and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Like if
yeah.
you were a Cleveland Cavaliers fan, right? Was that the basketball
No,
team?
if you're a Pacer
Right.
fan, you go, thank goodness we have Tyrese Halliburton locked down for 3 years, but then it's Laker time. So why get emotionally invested in
Right.
Tyrese Halliburton right now? Because if he continues to play at this elite level,
just imagine
he's
if
not
LeBron
going to stay.
James had stayed in Cleveland.
Right, yeah.
Right, forever. He would be like an absolute icon, and it would be
Right.
undisputed. But because he's gone from team to team, and he's like tried to create super teams on all these individual teams, it's kind of like poisoned
When-
what his role would be,
when
and there's
the
nothing
Heat-
to look to.
When the Heat said, "Hey, we can," when the players themselves, instead of general managers, took over teams,
Right.
and LeBron and Dwayne Wade and was it Chris
Bosh.
Chris Bosh, when those 3 came to Miami and they said, "We're going to win here,"
Yep.
and the players started assembling their teams, that was the beginning of the NBA and the Pacers becoming irrelevant.
Yeah.
Where the Donnie Walshes no longer could do what they did
right.
effectively, because there's no way Milwaukee, Indiana, Minnesota, those the Oklahoma City, even those
now a
communities
little
had,
better. It's better. I mean,
had no ability to compete with that.
Boston's still the best team in the East right now, but the second best is Milwaukee because of Giannis, and So parody's starting to kind of come to the NBA a little bit, but then then there's the Pistons, who have lost a historic 27.
When I drove to Detroit last
Are you
week,
glad you came out for this, Harry?
Yeah.
When I-
glad it's good. Dakota, isn't it great? He wrote down a roadmap for this episode.
Right.
You two look like you're having fun.
when I
Having a
drove
good
to
time,
Detroit
right?
last
all
week,
the sports talks.
I saw their sign that said 3 NBA championships, so they can cry with those. I don't care. I don't want to hear their violins.
Detroit had to sacrifice the Pistons to get the Lions.
Harry, will you please explain to us what the hell Chris Spangel's been up to?
What do you mean? What? I don't know. What is he like side gigging on?
Yeah, what's he been doing on you? He's been like, of all of the people that I thought were going to get a contract at BET,
Personally, yeah.
I did not have him
I
in the
would've
pool.
I didn't have that pegged.
I
either.
did not
No.
have him in the pool.
No. And a lot of the times when I tell people about it, they think it's my other friend Chris that I have.
Is he black?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you tell them his face got tweeted out by BET's Twitter account?
No, I didn't tell them that because that's just sad.
It's not
what
the-
I
they
do
don't
show
think
them
it's
is
the Chris-
episodes and clips, and they're just like, "Oh my god, that is him." I'm like, "Yeah."
Yeah, they don't think it was the Chris that wears sunscreen in winter.
I have more
I had to share my.
Midwestern rural white people in the boomer category, especially watching BET,
Mhm.
along with Miss Pat. Obviously, she's the reason that any of them are watching.
Yeah.
But than anyone else in history, I think.
Yeah.
My dad's ex-girlfriend at Thanksgiving was like, or Christmas, she's like, it's my favorite show. I watch it every single day. I'm like, no one in Putnam County had ever turned on BET until.
My friend circle was like, we get this channel?
Right, yeah, right. My dad, it was legitimately funny. My dad legitimately called me and he goes,
They air that here?
I have BET. I can watch it. I was like, yeah, it's basic cable. It was owned by Viacom. It's
And
part of
we're talking about the Miss Pat show on BET Plus.
Miss Pat settles it
The funny thing
on
is,
BET Network.
my
Very
wife
close.
said the same
okay.
thing. It's like, we get
That's talking about the
BET.
different show.
I'm shocked too, but yeah, we got BET.
Yeah, so Miss Pat Settles It is on tonight, Wednesday night at 10 p.m. on BET.
Now,
and
how do you handle flying back and forth to Los Angeles to do a show every week?
Every-
I don't understand how you keep this schedule.
It's the money, Jer. The money just keeps flowing, and I keep flying. That's how it works. No, it was really cool. Like I auditioned sometime around this time last year, which was like over a Zoom, and someone called from BET and said they wanted to. That's how they. And so I was like, okay. I figured it probably had to do with something with Pat, but Pat and Dion never said anything. Right, so I was like, this is kind of odd, but I'm just talking to a guy on Zoom, and he's nice, so I'll do this, and did that. I ended up making it through that process. Then I shot the pilot in L.A. Last February. I did okay, but well enough to kind of get passed on to the TV show, and got a few episodes. But like, I literally thought I was being punked. Because nobody
Oh,
had
sure,
said,
send the plane tickets. I'll go.
right, no, because I had a friend who kind of had something like that happen and had money stolen, and so, like, Miss Pat hadn't said anything about it, and nobody had said anything.
And you
that
didn't
this
have the
was going
stones
on.
to text her and be like,
And so, if she's not saying anything, then she probably doesn't, there's usually a reason. So I texted her assistant. I was like, is Pat going to L.A. next week? She's like, yes. I was like, okay, then I'll give him my flights. So I flew in, and I got the audition and made it through. Did 6 episodes of the 20, and it was really fun. It was such a cool, different experience to get to go and be a part of a TV show. It's produced by the people who do Jersey Shore, Tila Tequila, Tool Academy, like TV royalty. One of the guys worked for Letterman. Like they booked. All these are real cases. They're real people.
I thought your nudity was very tasteful.
I
as
thought so
well.
too.
Like
right?
Tasteful side.
What was
Yeah.
hilarious is
Artistic.
Ray J's on the cast with me, and I was the one that was nude. So it's a fun twist.
Very artistic.
Not nearly as impressive.
like a baby's arm holding an apple.
Some of them had never seen a white one before, so they wanted the diversity
The
higher.
first day of shooting, I was
Just for
legitimately
contrast.
in the room shooting
He's the
show.
control group.
I was literally the only white man in the room. It was, I think there was one white woman in the audience.
That's
It
how
was
I
fun.
felt when I lived in Philadelphia.
Yeah,
How
right.
does that feel?
Great.
How's that feel? I always tell Miss Pat, I'm like, every co-host I've ever had has been black between Abdul and Harry, and she's like, you lying. They're not real black.
Well, it's just different black. That's Southern redneck black. I'm Northern England, New
Northern
England black.
waifu black.
You're a landowner black.
Landowner black.
No, look,
Harry flipped the script.
Dakota, nobody loves waifus more than this man, okay?
Several more people that like them more. I'm also humble, but no, like I said, landowner, New England.
When I told you that I was going to be on BT, what were your thoughts?
Well, first, I kept wondering what type of show they would have you on, because I couldn't be on a food show, because
Podcaster needs a wife.
Show. Too bland.
It was BET wife swap.
Oh man. I would pay to watch that.
Well, the premise of the show is it's like Judge Judy, and it's all legitimate, real cases. It's real money, and Miss Pat settles it. She, is a convicted felon,
By
but
the way,
also a judge.
how does that work?
They go around, and I don't know how much I can say, but they go around the South looking for cases.
These are not Los Angeles people.
And they're real people. They're real cases. Because I kind of wondered, and then they all started like following me, and I followed them back on Instagram. And they're just regular people living their regular lives. And they had a small claims suit against somebody, and there's a backstory. So they call them, they ask them.
And how does Miss Pat get the?
So
There's a really funny bit of her talking on Bob and Tom, saying how she didn't realize that they were real cases, so she was like, add another $3,000
I was there
on
for
it.
that one, and they literally pulled her out because she's like, you know what, I'm gonna give you another $500 for this, and there was like, normally she'd go out, confer, come back in with the decision, and that one she was gone for like 30 minutes, and afterwards she told us that this is real money. It was, and what's different about it is it's real cases, but then there's a celebrity jury and me, and we help
You're a
her
celebrity.
judge the case. Am I a celebrity?
Yeah, you got an IMDb page, right?
No, I don't even have
Oh.
Wikipedia.
I have an IMDb page. What are you doing?
Maybe now somebody could make me a Wikipedia page. I might qualify that I'm on basic cable, but we are libertarians. Apparently, didn't do it. But yeah, then
Imagine that.
it's just a really fun show. It's like one of those shows like Impractical Jokers that you could watch over and over and over and never get bored with it. See something new every time. So I'm fingers crossed, hoping that it turns into a season 2. And
Wait till you get your
Goes
own
on.
BET spinoff.
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Maybe the food show. Maybe pitch that
They
pilot.
won't even tag him on social media. He's not gonna get a spin-off.
Everybody else does. They don't. They're just the white libertarian from Indiana. I don't think they're tagging me, but
The ramen noodle hair was great.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
great.
That was good.
that was so. I put the ramen noodle. This is like these bad wigs case, and they smelled horrible. They were like so musty. But you got to do.
Did they bring the wigs
You
in
touched
for
it. It was
evidence?
great.
You got to go the extra mile, and I don't know anything about wigs, and so I put it on my head to be funny, which turned into like a great photo-worthy moment. But then Pat goes, "I hope none of you put that on your head because lice still could live in those." And I spent the next 2 cases freaking out because you all know me, like you know what a germaphobe I am. I'm like going, I'm gonna get lice from these dirty wigs. I turned into Monk.
You could feel them crawling.
Yeah.
Yeah, every ounce of your strength not to itch yourself.
They were just using you as a breeding ground, and there's nothing you could do about it.
No, and it's
2 more cases he has to sit through.
Yeah,
Just
it's
let
fun.
Ray
Like
J find out.
this kind of podcasting, I think, like lend itself well to it because these are real like emotions and feelings and like.
So as a juror, what influence do you have? You're just there to be her bro.
Yeah, I mean,
Because you don't decide, like the judge decides it. You're like the appendix of the system here.
we're there to like. I think these cases are also 50-50, which is partly why they get picked, I'm sure. But because you kind of empathize with both sides. So everybody kind of has a different perspective. But a lot of times, like, I've noticed that everybody will. It's a lot of like people will side with the lady, and I'm like, this guy has a point. Right? Like, you know, so sometimes you can make a point, and I think it makes her think about it a little
So it's so like
That's just
some
the
of the
white man
topics.
in you.
bit.
Some of the topics I think I remember is there was a couch involved.
Yeah, there was a couch where
There was a dog.
a dog that the couch, for instance, you know, a case where two best friends, one had a key, the key entry. She was lives on the other side of town, but she was on that side of town on a date, and she used her friend's apartment to make love and ruined the couch, and so she was suing for the couch.
She ruined the couch.
She ruined the couch.
Ruined the couch.
And there was video, which got real awkward with Ray J, but he made the best of it. You know, and then there was one girl from Alabama who was just like insane and off the charts and like flew to get her uncle fired. He was in a male beauty pageant, and she sponsored him, and then she was gonna get paid back. He won. It's a whole different world of people that I like.
What states are these folks coming from?
I heard
Alabama a lot, Georgia, Mississippi, yeah,
I'm just gonna say the South.
Memphis.
The South.
Yeah, my dad ran a janitorial service when I was a kid, so I have been exposed to a lot of this behavior before. Janitorial employees tend to live very interesting lives.
Mm-hmm.
One guy that worked for my dad, like,
You're
helped
saying
bring
that
down a
you are
serial
also
killer.
from the other side of the tracks.
No, I was management. I was on that team, but yeah.
Good man.
So, what did you think of the show, Harry, specifically?
I was very impressed with it. Had a lot less swearing in it versus the Miss Pat show. I
Yeah.
will say that. But it was for the couch one, right? I kept watching that, and I just got like, man, see, this is why I don't give Chris a key to the studio.
I don't think there's anything in that house that would make me erect.
Sure about that?
I don't think I could hold one in that place. It's
Quick, hit the beat.
That reminds me of the time.
Have you seen the
The-
posters that I put up in the other room?
You're right. There is a picture of me.
The
I
key to
thought-
the studio reminds me of the time that Harry made an imprint of Chris's apartment key and then made a key at home.
Did you really make an apartment key? Oh, that's right.
about that.
Tell the story. I had forgotten about that.
Oh my God. All right, so we used to tape in this other smaller studio on the south side of town, and
The 6 something.
yeah, massive, expensive rent there for some reason. But well, the person that had the key that was supposed to let me in was constantly late, and that person was, should have been let go of the network, but he still works here. But so I would get fed up. So I was just saying that, hey, you know what? Because he also kept leaving his keys on the counter. So I figured I would just take a photo and just make a key. So I did. Worked.
Did it work? It worked.
Yeah, it worked.
It did work. He made a key.
How do you do that? How do you do it from a sketch?
What do you mean? It's just the little pins on up. I'm
Right.
not bringing keys out, but like
Right.
your
But I'm-
keys or turns out to
You
pins that
didn't,
are
go
inside
to, you
the
didn't
lock.
bring a picture down to the Ace Hardware and say, "Make me one of these." There was
I think
another
you like
step
3D printed
involved.
it or used foam
I
or
did
something.
not 3D
yeah.
printed. What I did was because it was if I remember correctly, yours was a quick set. So I just got a quick set blank, put it in the vise, and just started carving.
So
What's
you
it-
did it by eye.
Yeah.
How many weeks? This is like
Did I ever notice?
this is like Shawshank Redemption shit here. Of how many weeks?
How did you have the time?
How many weeks did it take you to
didn't
get
have
it
a
to
kid.
actually work?
Harry
didn't have
eyeballed and custom cut a key off of a photo.
There was no
Didn't even
kid,
know that
yeah.
was a thing.
Didn't have a kid. The other thing I did have a lot of. I'm dangerous if I have free time. I didn't
No
have to,
kidding.
I didn't have to use it because you afterwards. I think the threat of it, you just started showing up on time. I think because one time before I finished the key, I think you showed up with me with the lockpick set on it.
You did bring a lock pit, yeah.
There's
we had so much fun. That was. It's
You have no ex-
unfortunate I
if
got
you've
married
left your
because it
keys-
was a great show.
If you've left your keys out in plain sight, you have no expectation of privacy with Harry now.
No, the first time my wife now met Harry, she was terrified. He started talking about cybersecurity and threats and global destruction, and she was like, he's terrified.
Yeah, Harry's like, the world is an awful dangerous place, and I'm so glad I brought a kid into it.
I think
Yeah, the world.
there was a fair amount of drinking. I don't know.
Yeah, the world is a dangerous place. Yeah, my job actually talks about like don't get Harry drunk. He'll start talking about like I started to sketch out like the principles on how to make like a nuclear warhead and why, and like
You can
why
tell-
it's very dangerous and like what's done with it. You know?
What I've
I think your
learned,
quote was, "His outlook is darker than his skin."
what,
That's what she said.
what I've learned about Harry,
It's a direct
what
quote.
what I've learned about
She said it,
Harry
not me.
is that you can tell what kind of a mood he's in by what color he's painted his fingernails. And right now they're very dark.
Very dark.
They're very dark. So I'm not going to ask a
So
lot
you're
of questions.
saying like you remember the 10 seconds to midnight nuclear watch, the threat level.
We're on
orange-
threat level
we're
5.
on
Harry
orange
Con
right now.
5.
Well, considering with all the
We
like,
are-
different like
I-
ransomware attacks that are going out there around the world, that
We
most of
are-
you guys aren't paying attention.
We are on a code black, everybody.
How bad is it? Well, my wife who painted my nails black this week.
No, it's just really bad out there. Most companies, for some reason, don't want to either want to spend a whole bunch on their IT budget. I think this year was also big for the companies laying off IT or security teams and then getting hacked 6 months later. I think it was just a meme going on LinkedIn every time. Like, this company got ransomware, like, boom. And I'm just like, what my budget got increased for next year. I don't know about anyone else's.
Yeah.
It's because their IT department has a doomsday man on staff.
Yeah.
Well, like, a couple of things like my company is like when we also did like we did a backup test and it worked, but it was like very heavy lifting, and I kind of went to my director like, hey, we could spend this money on this software, and we don't have to worry about this at all. The thing just takes care of it for us. We just pay money and click buttons.
Does AI, and I know Brian works in cybersecurity, does AI and basically the reality of it taking over in 3 years, does that make the problem better because you have so many more tools, or does it make it way worse because now it's going to just massively amplify the amount of problems there are?
What double-edged sword?
Yeah,
right?
yeah, double-edged sword on
Like
that
as
one.
much as you have people using it for helping improve your defenses, there's equally number of people now using it to try to go after you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, AI and Harry, I want to hear your thoughts too. But in my kind of experience, AI, what makes it really unique and special is its ability to take massive amounts of data and identify patterns.
Right.
And with that, it's easier.
We used to
for-
have the Libertarian Party for that, but that's over. So now we had to figure out AI.
so like with AI, like it's not so much that it's going to like just figure things out, but rather as you present it more and more data, it can then start to show you what it's seeing as consistent patterns, which then yield to identifying like passwords, for example.
Correct. Yes.
Right.
I was going to say, like, yeah, it was my favorite thing that I did at my company to increase to get more people to using the random password generator
Yeah.
on the password manager, because I told them like I can feed ChatGPT, right? Just ChatGPT, the free one, 50 passwords that one user created, and it's like based on these 50, create me 10 user passwords that this person would do. And a lot of people was like, holy smokes. It's like, yeah, all I have to do is get one of these lists of one, because you can go to ihavebeenpwned.com, type your email address in, you can probably find it where you've been hacked or where you've been in
you
a
already
data breach.
said you know how all my passwords, my patterns.
Yeah, you just have a pattern, you create an algorithm.
Right.
Well, just like there's an algorithm for the your crap. I want to say this. There's for your card. You can actually you can test this if you get a new card soon. Put your numbers into ChatGPT and tell them to, based off these numbers, what is the well, don't do that. Sorry, don't do that.
Basically, just told,
Ask ChatGPT
Google
to
Michael
base,
Hastings.
based on these number pattern, what my next credit card number is going to be, and 9 out of 10 times it'll guess your new credit card number based off your old numbers.
But that to me seems so random because
Well, It's not.
A lot of your
That's
card
why it's
numbers.
not, because it can
It's
see,
not.
right? Because
Right.
we're looking. It's like we're looking down a narrow telescope, whereas it's like taking that telescope and then expanding it all the way out. So it's
Yeah.
getting that same focus, but now it's able to apply that focus
Yeah.
way, way beyond the scope that we can
so
ever.
Because there's
capital
logic
one's
there.
capital
Yeah.
one's pattern is this, and so this person
It knows your bank, right?
Right.
So it knows the first number in your card says if it's number 2, it's an American
Right.
Express card. If it's a 6, it's a Discover card,
Right.
right? So everybody that uses First Financial Bank or Star Financial Bank or Key Bank or whatever,
Right. Yep.
all of those have the first 4 or 6 characters. So if you have 16, you've eliminated 8 of the digits based upon the banking
Right.
system. And then I'm sure that the Chat GPT knows what other numbers are issued, so
Correct.
it can also kick those out. So now you're whittling down your
Yeah,
possibilities.
based on also the numbers that have been used and
Yeah.
things that have been pushed in hashes and stuff like that. So it just
And then
pulls
you
out all
know that there has to be a check digit, so there's certain numbers that are just automatically eliminated.
Yep.
So you can back your way into a pretty damn close.
Yep. The other thing with
Is it
ChatGPT
even worth protect? Like, you've been so protective of putting Gunther's image out there, for instance,
Mhm.
and you're very protective of her identity. Is there a point to that even at this point? Like
Yeah.
10 years ago, there was a point to it,
Yeah.
but at this point, is it just going to be so bad in 10 years?
I
There's no
think-
hiding.
I think the main reason is because of how bad it's going to be in 10 years. Everything's going to be. I think that's even more reason for it.
You just the people will be such bigger targets, and you'll be
yeah.
less of a target, but you're still a target.
But in 10 years, she'll have an Instagram.
It was just more of a.
Right.
I don't want to like anything's out there is because it's been leaked out there. Someone else has taken it, but it's more also in the fact that kids can't consent for their photo being out there too. If she wants to have her photo.
You don't want to be responsible for having published it.
Correct.
Yeah. You
I
want
don't
it to
wanna
be
be
her
responsible.
choice when it's her time.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing with ChatGPT is also to increase the amount of script kiddies. People who don't really understand hacking, they just grab
Is
scripts
that
to
like
do different things.
Pip-oopsies or
Well, it's just more of
Chuckle
a.
fu- Never mind.
This script here hacks Linksys routers to get me free Wi-Fi. Those are people, and they just pop
Okay.
those things there. So those tests that you can also get for yourself to help defend against yourself.
If you have been enjoying what you have heard over the last 5 minutes, we have an entire show, Loki Wall.
It's not
That we
all the
can-
show, by the way.
Yeah,
It's-
and it's low key on the
very
Wall
diverse.
Network.
Yeah.
No, wait, change the name.
Yeah.
It's,
But what I'm saying is that you can get more of this.
If you like Boss Hog,
You put a-
but
you put a-
want culture.
You
and
put a
tech,
you put a quarter in, and you want to hear about your network getting penetrated.
or just like because we go around just about everything around like culture and your computer or just things that are out there on the internet, because these things are just like quite frankly fascinates the cast of us, and I also like enjoy just because I think we got done doing the media that shaped us episodes this last year, which I recommend like if you guys could ever like do like a top 10 media that has shaped your political opinion or just who you are.
Let's see. I'm going to guess Spangles would be the Rush Limbaugh show.
No, ironically, everything includes Ray J.
I'm going to say
It's
it was
full body.
probably the Tommy Lee tape. I think Private Parts is probably there for
Oh,
Spangle.
Private Part's huge. Bob and Tom show. Private
Showgirls?
Parts. Yeah.
And you were probably what?
I'm going to say
10 when that
I'm going to
came
say
out?
What was
Spangle.
it?
Showgirls.
No.
I'm gonna
it
say-
Came out in
no,
the 80s. You
I'm
were
gonna
what,
say
15.
Striptease.
don't know.
G. Gordon Liddy, probably for Spangle.
No.
Good, that's good.
Glenn Beck.
Glenn Beck, yes. For sure.
My biggest media
Yeah.
influence is Howard Stern, Glenn Beck,
I'm back. Yeah.
Bob and Tom.
Doesn't have, I'm not media influence, more like
Michael Mayer
media
show.
that shaped you. Because like Private Parts like
Yeah.
that, or like how like the media, how you watch Top Gun all the time.
Okay, no, I would say Married with Children. So to get to the heart of what I think you're saying, like rewatching Married with Children right now, having watched that at 10, 11, maybe like 8 to 14 or whatever, it shaped for a long time my view of women, how women were to be talked about, and it wasn't until I was in my 30s that I really like changed that. And that was a show that shaped me in a lot of ways in terms of humor, in terms of like just my view of women and what was funny. And
It was on
Okay,
Fox,
that
so it was
makes
too
sense,
scandalous
yeah,
for us
yeah.
to watch in our home.
yeah, no, for sure, yeah. And I wasn't a dirtbag, but I certainly wasn't as respectful of women as I am now, because women in my life said, "Hey, you shouldn't. This isn't funny for these reasons, and you shouldn't behave this way for the So, so that's like a piece of media that shaped me for sure. And I rewatch it now, and I'm like, oh, that's where that thread came from. Yeah,
So like
I don't think
for
I've ever
my-
seen that show.
I did
It's
Ghost in the
it's
Shell.
Hilarious.
Really?
So funny.
Al Bundy?
I
So
know.
funny.
Yeah,
I know.
yeah,
But no.
yeah. So, and honestly, every generationally, that was 1993, right?
Yeah, right.
You fast forward 10, 15 years, and you end up at Michael Scott in The Office,
Right.
And,
Right.
And, right.
which
That's
is
my-
which is Brian's
Yeah.
wheelhouse.
Anything 89 to 96 shaped me enormously, right? Movies, TV.
In 2007, 2008, 2009 with The Office, some of the things that were problematic in your show's history, The Office also has problems that you couldn't do now.
Episode 2 cancels The Office.
The Diversity Day.
Yeah.
I mean, like, and I can't even probably make some of the jokes.
But the thing
Don't
about
get
that
Cheers
is,
Facebook nuked.
but the
So-
thing about that episode and All in the Family, which that gets compared to, and Married with Children, like Married with Children had, it all falls under. It's kind of like Miss Pat's show, like where they're trying to have social commentary through media, like. Married with Children was a show that said, all right, sitcoms are at their height. Everybody wants to do sitcoms a certain way. They're very formulaic. Let's take the formula and do the opposite. The dad isn't a hero. The dad's a loser. The wife isn't also a winner. She's a leech. Like, the husband doesn't want to have sex. And then, the neighbor is an empowered feminist, and he's like a knuckle dragger. Like, so it was all a way to kind of do social commentary, just like Diversity Day, where they're like, look at this oaf making all of these, because you can kind of see it in yourself and go, all right, I shouldn't be that way, but also it's kind of funny.
I think the biggest sitcoms whenever I was growing up were Malcolm in the Middle, Reba.
Right.
Reba?
It was the end
Yeah,
of the
that's a
sitcom
big
era,
one.
Mike and Molly.
Yeah.
It was the last
We
gasp
had
of
like
sitcom.
It was
those
the
Raymond.
three
Yeah.
camera shot
Reba
shows.
was
Dakota got
King
the
of the
very
Hill.
end of it.
Yeah.
Hold
I'm
on.
not King of the Hill,
Reba?
jeez.
Reba was
Reba's
huge in my
huge.
house.
King of
Reba,
Queens.
Yeah.
Reba was
Queens, not King
huge
of
in
Queens.
rural India. The other show that actually became the Reba audience went to was Tim Allen's final show.
Yeah.
Last Man
The
Standing.
Last Man Standing
Yeah.
got that audience.
Yep.
Which Harry's probably not seen a damn episode of.
Home
I've seen
Improvement.
Last Man
Home Improvement
Standing.
was great.
I've watched
Yeah.
that show.
Home Improvement.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
Huh.
But big time for me, like probably in the top of that list of media that shaped me was probably like the Red Green Show was.
Yes.
I loved it. Was
Yeah.
obsessed with that for most of my.
I don't know
life.
about you guys, but I think about this as
Love that
as a
show
parent
still.
a lot.
Good for you.
That period
You don't
of
like it, Harry?
like 8, maybe 7, 8 to 14, 15 is what set the template for my tastes and interests. It wasn't 4 or 5 like right now. That's too. Everything's just like through the brain, but like.
8 to 13 years old.
But my parents just let me have a TV in my room, and I sat there and I watched from 89 to 96 every sitcom and movie I could. And so,
Right.
man, I know I haven't seen Grumpy Old Men in 30 years. I watched it in November.
Pull your lip over your head and
I knew
smile.
every freaking word to that
Swallow.
thing because it had imprinted me so
I think
much.
for me it was more from like 14 to 18 is kind of what set me, because like I'm thinking back to I'm like trying to like what were the things that really were my foundation, and like beyond politics, like yes, politics I've always been passionate of, and that was
Right.
definitely like from 8 to 13 like it was the Bush 2000 election, then 2004, and I was like really passionate about it. But like in terms of my interests, it was from a cultural standpoint, I think of like 40-Year-Old Virgin, Super Bad, Wedding Crashers, Super Troopers, and like those movies were all in my
The frat
back
comedies.
half. Yeah, my back half of my younger half.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know. Like
When I think about family traditions, it inevitably is like when I'm 10, right? And same with my wife. So like, I'm very cognizant in going into the next few years, like what we watch in our household is going to set her character
Yeah.
in such an impactful way compared to like
Gonna be a
my
lot of
parents-
Andy Griffith.
my parents are just like, here's a TV, and yeah, we have a VHS of Porky's in the basement, and aren't gonna pay attention if you watch it.
Yeah, well,
And
I just got.
watched
I
it.
was. You commented in the book I got for Christmas, The Daily Dad, and one of the first. Actually, it's funny. The first day it was John Woolen quote, and it was about how like the child watches the parent, and like you want to see
We
the
teach
child
by
does watch the
behavior more
parent.
than words.
Yeah, and just like that speaks to exactly that, because like so many people just don't pay attention to what they're doing.
Yeah.
Right.
So we might watch something that we think is like appropriate, but to your point, like it's not. It's
Here's the view that most of your kids.
Yeah.
It's the back of your
Yes.
phone,
Yeah,
and that's
yeah.
why kids are.
If you
struggling.
want your kids to read more, you should also read more.
Yes.
If you want your kids to learn the violin, then you should be playing
and
an
dedicate
instrument
time
too.
for it.
Correct.
Like, make
Yeah.
it a priority.
Yeah.
Don't just expect them to be like to take interest. Be like, hey, let's make this and do it with them.
Yeah. Yeah, see, I got most of that also from like the Pistol Pete story. I don't know if you guys know the basketball
that?
player Pistol Pete. Like his dad.
of Louisiana State University.
Yeah,
Yeah, you say all these things, Brian. Now and
Pistol
like
Pete Maravich.
we
Yeah.
we raised Jackson that way, and very aware of making sure that we spend all of the time with
I
him
know.
as
Well, 'cause, like,
much as humanly possible.
We're on your side
And
here.
now that he's almost 4, it's like, please just watch TV for a few minutes. I have got to get some things
Yeah,
done,
right,
dude.
Yeah.
Here's a tablet. Dakota, I think you owe Harry an apology. You interrupted him and talked over him.
Sorry, Harry.
And thank you.
We value you, Harry.
We value you, Harry.
Thank you.
Please,
Thank
go
you.
ahead.
Appreciate that. Well, anyway, so Pistol Pete, his dad, to get him real into the basketball, would play it all the time and wouldn't let Pete play. Wouldn't at all. He was stuck inside doing homework, and his dad was outside playing basketball.
Because he
all
was
the
also
time.
a great basketball player.
Correct. He was playing basketball, doing basketball, practicing basketball, and eventually he finally let him play.
I'm pulling up a picture for Dakota so he knows who Pistol Pete is.
Yeah,
I
one of
think
the-
that's like a huge lesson in sports. You see, like these great athletes, they also had parents who also were athletes and taught that like it's that 10. They got that 10,000 hours of experience by the time they were 14 or 15. as
My
opposed to
worry with
18.
like the Pistol Pete story is if I'm doing something that takes away the time that I could be spending with him, and even though it's like it is constructive, maybe I'm going to be doing woodworking or doing something. It's taking time away from him. Would he grow to then hate that thing because there's a negative connotation of my dad spends his time doing this instead of spending it with me?
I think kids love what. I'm sorry, Harry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Please.
You're fine. I think you should just combine it because there's a lot of times I do maintenance on the cars, and my daughter just wants to come out in the garage.
Just wants to be around.
She just
you.
wants to be
Right.
around me.
My
There's
daughter's-
some of those
my
things that
daughter said
works,
the other
but, like-
day. She goes,
Yeah.
you know, I can't wait till we can read together.
Yeah.
And I don't read in front of her. I don't take time away from her. She just knows I love and appreciate books, and she wants to appreciate the same thing with me. She was like, you know, Dad, I think I really like the Pacers. I've been watching the Pacers for less than 2 months, but because I've been doing it repeatedly, she's like, I'm gonna give this a shot because I think you like. You know, it's just, and he's younger, so he demands more attention. But like, once they hit that 5, where kind of we're at with our kids, they have their own interests and they want time to explore that on their own, and they're much more self-sufficient. But they also want to like do things with you because they know I love you, you love this, I might like it too. I want to explore this with you. It's pretty cool. It's like 5 is a pretty great age because they're not awful and terrible like they'll be at 10.
Pistol Pete played for the New Orleans Jazz.
Yeah.
Nobody ever gives the Jazz shit for moving to Utah, but damn it, they pick on the Colts.
Or the Lakers. That was Minnesota.
Yeah, the Minneapolis Lakers are the LA Lakers. Zach, I assume that your formative TV show was much like mine. Was ESPN Speed World?
No, I watched. I was just talking. I watched so much Sports Center, like in high school, like during the summer.
Scott
Even
Van
though it
Pelt.
just repeated. I
Rich
was talking to
Eisen.
you about it. Yeah, because Rich Eisen, Scott Van Pelt, Stuart Scott,
With his
all these
lazy
guys.
eye.
And it would be the same episode. They just
Cool
repeat
side
it
of the
every
pillow.
hour, but I'd still just watch it.
All right.
And even when those guys come up, but
Another big one, whenever I was in like middle school, was Chappelle's show. That
you know,
was
stop
huge
talking
in
about
my
shit
school.
that happened after I graduated college.
That hurts.
Having
so-
5 hosts on one show at a time is hilarious. Because
do you
they
know what
all
Porky's,
talk over each
do
other.
you know what Porky's is?
No, had no idea when
All
you
right,
mentioned
Porky's
it.
was this 80s movie with maximum skin. Ken Cantrell from Sex and the City, who's like the tall blonde that didn't do the recent stuff. Like, she was in it. It was lots of sex and nudity. It was like the ultimate. It was like the end result of Animal House. They had taken that thread
Parents had
so
a
far
VHS
that
of it.
Christy Avery says her parents took her to see Porky's in the drive-in.
Oh no. Oh,
They had it at a drive-in.
I
Nice
watched
family movie.
Superbad with my dad and
This
my
doesn't-
best friend, and it got to the
Superbad's
part
good, yeah.
where he's like draws pictures of
Dick
you know what?
drawings?
Yeah, okay. I want to make sure I was allowed. It's your show.
It's after
I
8
didn't wanna-
o'clock.
This
I didn't want to
okay.
assume.
We're
Take,
prime time
take
now.
the drawings.
If I want to try to real big veiny ones, I believe is the
Triumphant
quote.
Bastards.
Porky's
Yes.
had live action, real big veiny ones, women fully frontal nude,
Yeah.
allowed active
Yeah.
sex. Like, I don't know, Christy, how badly that must have scarred you, but it would have scarred you.
Maybe that's why she is the way she
And then
is.
Jackie Davis says the Morton Downey Show. I think Harry, you too. Trash Jerry Springer type talk shows.
Yeah.
In the
Yeah, I was
90s,
gonna-
and then the Osbournes and the Hogans in the 2000s. And
You know what's
Tula
messed
All
up
those
is that has
reality
all
shows.
transported to like TikTok.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, all of that, it's all there now.
I saw it when I went to Bob and Tom because
mindless insanity.
I'd grown up on reality TV and talk TV and Howard Stern being uber reality. And so my style of broadcasting is you just can't help but be authentic, open, honest, let it all out there. And then when I got to Bob and Tom, who were a generation older, where it was, no, we're going to sit down and write the bits. We're going to craft the personas. There's going to be a wall between us
Yep.
and the audience. And so I would come in and say, let's do behind the scenes stuff. And it wouldn't go for it. All right. It's a different mindset between
You talking about it going to TikTok? It is interesting because we don't watch TV at home. We never watch TV, and Mike and Jackson doesn't ever watch TV either.
good.
His tablet is his TV.
Right.
Like
yeah.
he just gets. It's like, oh, if we're eating breakfast, we're gonna sit down and eat breakfast.
Yeah.
And usually, Saturday morning is when you turn on the TV.
Yeah.
He just watches Handyman Hal on YouTube Kids on his tablet instead.
We've made a
And it's
big
not
point
on
in our
TV.
household to like she hasn't asked for the TV all week, really for the whole month because we've been watching Christmas movies together. Because we've noticed that the random, constant flicking to the next thing,
Yeah.
which he's about to start doing,
Yeah.
sets that like craziness, right? But whereas when we're all sitting down as a family, she and I
There's
watch
structure.
Monk
Right.
all day.
Yeah.
And so she's following the logical conclusions that Monk is making in the
Yes.
story.
Yeah.
And it's much better for her, I think,
Yeah.
that way.
And then also some of the kids' content they even do on YouTube Kids is some of these awful compilations of
Yeah.
different shows to get past copyright.
Oh,
They
yeah.
always just keep jumping. Like some of the awful Bluey episodes are on there too.
Yep.
I
You just
ban,
gotta-
I ban every video game thing on her tablet. I ban just educational. I train
You
her how to-
constantly have to be watching too, like
Yes.
Yes.
and listening. And it's not like he's on his tablet very often.
Right.
So it's not like if I'm sitting there reading and eating breakfast and he's got his tablet right next to me. It's not
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
Well,
you can't hear it.
I make Gunther watch the old PBS shows that I've got recorded. So like Odd Squad, Big Comfy Couch,
Yeah.
those.
Do you
types of
guys,
shows.
when you're watching program television, like watching a series like Monk or whatever, do you have to finish the series?
Yes.
Do you go all the way through? Like you can't. Like, will you drop out or will you follow it all the way through?
I
Like,
will
if you got to
probably-
the second season, are you going to see it to the end, or
I'll
do you lose
probably
interest and give
follow,
up?
Yeah, like Blue Bloods, for instance. I've watched Blue Bloods probably all the way through 4 times.
No, it's got to be good.
I like watching a series. Reagan and I will pick a series and we'll watch it through. But like, it depends on if it's good. Like Game of Thrones, and we're into it, we'll finish it. But like, we just watched some Polish show called 1471 or something. It's actually very clever, but it's like a sitcom set in the medieval Polish Empire. It's very funny and clever, but like we just never went back to it. We just kind of got lost with other stuff.
I feel like
And-
Game
You
of
should
Thrones, watch Spartacus. The sex scenes are so much better.
I
You
feel
should
like
watch Blackadder. It's
Yeah.
Rowan Atkinson.
Yeah, Blackadder's good.
Yeah, so
yeah,
I-
Blackadder is right down.
I'm
Spagel's.
not. I'm
It's
no
the best.
longer as OCD about like I started it. I gotta finish it.
See, I think, and I'm a huge fan of the show, but I think this show and what they did and the way the last 2 seasons worked broke me of having to finish them because I still don't know if I've actually finished Arrested Development or not. Because of the last 2 series or the last 2 seasons that were on Netflix that got cut and edited 5 different ways in this experimental whatever. I think watching those episodes cured me of having to watch other stuff.
I never
Good.
finished
'Cause
Mad Men.
yeah.
There's
there.
just too much content.
There's
Yeah.
too much.
nowadays.
Yeah.
Like I mean, Elephant in the Room, right? Like my show used to have 5 episodes a week, and I saw my numbers just stagnate, and I was
Yeah.
like, what? Like I'm doing 5 shows a week. I literally am doing 5x the content that I had doing when I first started my show, and my numbers are now pretty much at where they had been, and they're not going anywhere. And I think it was just content overload. And I look at myself like I used to be dedicated to wanting to start a show and go from start to finish. But it's like, well, now I have 14 other shows I'm supposed to watch, and sometimes I'm just like, okay, maybe I'll catch one episode here and there. Like my wife will watch the rest of The Crown. I watched like the first couple seasons, but I'm at the point now where I just don't have the time to devote towards all of it.
There's a tool that just got put out that measured how much bigger your podcast is than most Netflix shows. The Bob and Tom podcast is bigger than 93% of Netflix shows in terms of consumption.
Wow.
Because
That's
the dark truth about all of these streaming shows is there's a race for content. Netflix realized a few years ago that all HBO and Paramount had to do was start their own Netflix. And they were going to, which meant they were going to have no content, so they started building content.
Right.
And so then everybody else went, we should do that too.
And they didn't give a damn if anybody was watching it or not.
They
But you
didn't.
had to have a library.
You had to have a library,
and
nobody's watching.
And the television library all of a sudden started going back to the studios, and it was,
Yep.
we're losing
And
friends.
so
We're
there's
losing
so
the West
much
Wing.
stuff that people go, you know what? I'm overloaded with choice. I'm just going to go to YouTube, which is going to tell me exactly what I want to watch. Which I know Theo Vaughn. I'll just watch this, or I know I love The Office. I'll watch that a million times, or I'll watch the show that I love from the '90s, like Married to Children.
And you can upload The Office, like, was it Vudu? Is that the app where you can upload video? Or, is it Vudu?
It's Voodoo's the renting.
Voodoo.
renting
Maybe it's not
or
Vudu. There's
purchase.
an app that we have on our TV, and you can upload, like, your videos.
Yeah, you Voodoo. Yeah,
Is it
for
Voodoo?
$2 you can convert your digital your
Yeah.
your handheld
DVDs.
DVD,
Yeah, your DVD.
and you can make
Oh.
it
Yeah,
available.
that's what
video.
it is. Yeah, and some of them are free. I know that there's some that are free. I only went through and I did the ones
Yeah.
that were free.
Disc-
But as
disc to
content
digital.
creators, the pandemic changed everything because
Yeah.
the rule was the ironclad rule was more content, more consumption,
better,
more
yeah.
eyeballs. I'm even thinking of taking the Chris Spangle show down to twice a month, and I've been rock solid once a week every single week this entire year, for the first time but like the consumption is there. People just want your best.
Mhm.
They don't want all of it.
Yeah,
like,
so Mr. Beast does like one video every 3 weeks,
instead
month
of
and a
every
half.
day. Yeah, because there's just not enough appetite, and every study shows this. Like people just want, like,
It's quality
much.
over quantity.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. There's so much content out there, and you could, because at this point, like we talked about this on Low Key, that even if you hate some of the new content, you could just stop right now. I think YouTuber Dave Cullen was just going back in the line of just watching old school like sci-fi nostalgia shows, and just getting into it because it's like the modern, like the newer sci-fi stuff is like pretty much junk.
Yeah.
Audrey and I, we watch like we don't watch TV except for at the very end, right before we go to bed, and we'll watch like 20 minutes of a video game streamer streaming Grand Theft Auto 5 or something, and it's like we watch for 15 minutes and it's like time for bed, or what? Then like every 2 weeks it'll be like, oh, let's it's Friday night, let's watch the next episode of Game of Thrones. Like,
I recommend One Piece.
what?
The anime
I heard
One
that.
Piece.
It's really good.
It's really good, especially like when you get into it and you actually find out like the main plot of the show is the pirates of the show are just trying to live free, and the government is trying to stop them, and the government's the bad guys because they're ruled by an overarching elites.
Show update. Harry's fingernails are dark blue, so we're safe. It's okay.
Woo. I think they might change
I
as
was
his mood
nervous.
changes. They adjust.
I'm
Are
just
they
saying
like mood
there may be
rings?
hope for the next year.
So, tell me, Brian Nichols,
Hi, Jeremiah
about
Morrill.
what's going on in the Brian Nichols show world. We've got our wall, we got our Chris Spangle update, we got our Loki wall update. What's going on with the Brian Nichols show? What have you been doing over there on the other side of the wall?
Lots of interviews. So my show is twice a week, and traditionally the way I approach my show is I like to have conversations with folks who we've identified there's a problem, and how do we address said problem without having to go through the channel of government solutions. So if we can go through private sector alternatives, let's do that. So, for example, I had one gentleman on my show, and he started a pediatric cancer research fundraising organization, and they were doing everything through Bitcoin cryptocurrency, and they actually developed a cryptocurrency specifically for their organization. And then with that, they also built an open blockchain network where they're able to share research for pediatric cancer research. So what was happening is all these different colleges were doing research on pediatric cancer, and they were having advancements, but nobody was sharing their research with everybody else. So they're like, well, let's put this on the blockchain, have real-time data, real-time information being shared. So bringing a real solution to a very real problem, and helping advance the advancement of research for kids' pediatric cancer research. So those kind of conversations, being able to actually address the problems we see out there, and it's one thing to identify problems. I think it's another thing to identify the problem and bring a solution to the table. And people, I think the past 10 years or so, we've done a really good job of figuring out what the problems are, but now people are looking to embrace solutions. So I want to bring solutions to the table. So my show has really been focused on bringing solutions to the table. Really has changed as a show. I've from 2018, it was a much more of a politically aimed show, and now we're much more solutions oriented. So it's been fun though. Change of pace. We went, like I said, down from 5 shows to 2 shows, which has been a nice breath, because I've been able to enjoy more of the shows versus like just feeling I have to get
Just
content out
grinding
too.
them out.
Yeah, when it starts to feel like a job, then you're
It
not.
was rough.
It's not. People aren't going to listen to you in the same way that when you're passionate about doing it.
Yeah, well, you would Zach would walk by and he'd be like, what, 7 in the morning, and he'd be like, Brian's at the studio. Why?
On like a Saturday.
On a Saturday morning. Yeah, it's like I'm just trying to get things ready to go. for the
How
show.
has it been now? You're like 2 years in country, coming up on your big anniversary.
Here?
Yeah,
Yeah, I love it.
As a Hoosier,
Oh, I love it. 10 out of 10.
getting
Move
to
to
know
Indiana.
people. You're seeing people like Zach around town. How's that transition gone? Because the Wall Network moved you here, right?
It did.
Like it moved you to East Central Indiana.
Chris Spangle's We Are Libertarians Network officially is what got me in Indiana. So I remember
You
first. Huh?
Sorry, never mind.
you're
You
good.
came to the pool party and
I was
realized
when-
nobody had to wear a mask and everybody was shopping and walking free, and you were like, "What?"
I was getting ready to say that literally next month is 2 years of you in the studio.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, everything's 2 years. Wow, yeah, because January of 2021 is when, or 2022 is when we moved here, and it's 2024. Wow.
Of course, you've seen how crap Philadelphia's been since he left too.
Yeah,
Oh,
You
yeah,
was,
well,
hol-
Philly-
you
yeah,
was
so-
holding that together.
yeah. You were
The glue.
Yeah. Well, so Philadelphia was rough. For those who didn't know, I moved from Philadelphia to Pennsylvania.
Downtown Philly.
Yeah, like in the heart of Philadelphia. It was not a good area.
I don't know why you pick on the land of Ben.
Where
Franklin
it is
like
always
this.
sunny, by the
It-
way.
it's
One of
not.
the
It's
cities
really
I've been
not.
attacked in by homeless people.
Oh yeah,
New
no,
Orleans is the
it's
other,
it's
and
a
San
it's a dangerous
Francisco.
city. But when I started really getting into libertarian politics, I found Real Libertarians, and I listened to the network, and I really found myself listening to the shows and finding like I was a part of the family, even though I wasn't part of the family. Like, I didn't live here.
Who did you fall in love with? Was it Aaron Ewert or
I only ever did like 1 or 2 episodes. It
Tad
wasn't
Tad
around.
Wester and Greg Lenz?
It was-
Who was your?
it was
who was
Tad.
the person that you said, "Oh my God, I've got to be a part of these
it
people"?
wasn't so much. It wasn't one character. It was the dynamic.
Little Brett Bittner.
So like,
It's Brett.
and I personally have gone through some very big changes in my own personal like friendship dynamics with some very old close friends who aren't really friends anymore. And I think part of it is because what I was looking for was something that felt very authentic. And what I saw coming from the network was people who genuinely enjoyed each other's company because of not just shared experiences,
We fooled
but
this idiot.
yeah, you sure did.
Me and Harry
Here I
hate
am.
each other.
But shared values and shared goals.
Yeah.
And when I mean Chris jokes, but when we came out here for the pool party in 2020, or no, it was 2021. Sorry,
Yeah,
2021.
it was July 20.
21.
Indiana was done with COVID BS July 4th, 2020.
Yeah,
And it was July 2021.
and it was still lockdown central.
And you and
in Philly.
Renzo came and to around the same time and
Yep.
just couldn't because he was in DC.
Yep.
And he commented, he's like, I was in Noblesville and I could not believe people at the shop.
I was on a podcast I was on Matt Kibbe's show in 2021, and it was January 2021, and it was still like a ghost town. Like you could
Crazy.
not do anything. So when I came out here, not only seeing that, but there is just something, and I can't really put it into words, but when you come out here to the Midwest, people, and I know there like people out here can, like when they hear I moved from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to here, I always get the why, like why would you move here?
Right.
But like, and you just got you got to take
realize 80% of these people moved from Albany, Kentucky to here 2 generations ago. So I ignore that. Drown that noise out.
There is a, and this is something that in 2024, like I want to fight. Like there is a crushing cynicism that has crept into American society, and people don't love the place in which they live.
Yes.
We sort ourselves socially by niche, which has kind of taken away the love of our location, which is incredibly important to our souls. And small town Indiana is awesome. And there is a lot about Indiana that is awesome.
Yes.
But that is not cool to say. That is a boomer attitude to say that Newcastle, Indiana is awesome.
Top 10 best towns in Indiana according to World Atlas. If you
You
listen
have
to last week's show.
colors now, and so
It's a lot of that East Coast, West Coast like influence our culture,
Right.
like changing the word soda pop here in the Midwest, just making us not like the Midwest because
Harry,
the
don't tell
coast
me-
is supposed to be so
Harry,
much better.
don't tell me you don't call it soft drink.
it's Coke.
Yeah, tonic.
What do you
Listen.
call honestly? What do you call a carbonated beverage? This is actually a important question.
Here's the thing. I grew up calling it soda, pop, and tonic, depending on which part of the family I was
Depending
dealing
upon which grandparent was talking to you.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
Tonic.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Was there
Cola
a
tonic.
gin?
Young lad, may you
was gonna
fetch
say,
me a tonic from the
I'd like
fridge?
some tonic, please.
Like I said,
Harry's
Is that
the
northern
weirdest-
landowner
Harry is the
part of
weirdest-
Harry's family?
My tummy's upset. I need some tonic.
Harry's the weirdest person
I-
on the network, and James Neese is on the network,
Yeah.
and Hody,
tonic.
yes.
and me.
I'm sorry. I'm being truthful.
What? Okay. All right. Hey, let me ask the question this
Tag
way:
my mom. She'll tell you.
Which brand of car did this person drive that taught you that it's tonic?
I don't think that's important.
It is. It is very
I don't-
important.
I don't think that's
I need to
important
know
at
what
all.
brand
BMW.
the car was.
86 Cutlass.
No. Cadillac?
Cadillac.
I was like, which top tier General Motors brand is this going to be?
It's how also I grew up like hating Cadillac cars, working on Cadillacs. Like I fully embraced BMWs and Mercedes over Cadillac cars. At least those made sense when you're working on them.
So really quick, just to finish my one thought,
Sorry.
which I feel I had to sneeze.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're interrupting
No, it-
Harry again.
Wow.
Well, my original
We've
thought
never
got interrupted.
learned.
I don't remember how it got interrupted, but the whole
There's
like
5
grass.
podcast hosts.
I know, isn't it great? It's my show, damn it.
Oh, half a second of silence. Must talk.
No, but in all seriousness, like the grass is always greener. Like no, like embrace the like you're saying like small town Indiana is great. Small town Indiana is great. Like the fact that not only are you able to have the impact in your community, but like the influence and build those relationships with people. Like I've been here 2 years, and I think Jerry, I mentioned to you when we were at the Christmas walk, I was like going around and I was like, oh my god, I know people here this year, and it was really cool. Like 2 years later, they're like,
Hilariously,
"What
this
you-"
is only
Yeah.
the 4th time you've seen Jeremiah since you lived here because he travels. So.
He's usually like camping up in like the Great Lakes.
Brian sees me seasonally.
It's very true. Or when he's watching my
November-
cats.
I'm on Christmas break. and
From
so-
November to March, I keep my Henry County hours, where you may
Yeah.
see me
Yeah.
here on the weekends.
Yeah, but it
And it's the time of the year I hate the most, by the way.
But it's so alienating. 'Cause, like when I was in Philadelphia for 7 years, like you are just a number, and it's very weird to put that into context. Like just driving around and seeing people that every day that I've seen, like you see consistently. There's just something to
People
it.
start to become an inconvenience, and not other people.
Okay,
Right.
we'll leave.
Yeah.
Let's
The other-
see how they feel about We Are Libertarians.
The other thing with the small towns is you got to work on the town councils and to get rid of the no fun wine moms that plan a lot of different things. The ones that go like, oh, we don't need alcohol. Screw you. We need shots. Okay. Lawn chairs, coolers.
Yeah, I think there's a huge movement in society that I'm happy about, where it's like, I don't know what I was watching, or maybe it's Married with Children, or just like that. Everything is very sexual, and everything is very cynical, and everything's very gross. And like Ted Lasso comes along and just feels like this breath of fresh air, where it's like
Yes, loved it.
positive.
Season 3 is
intentionally
garbage,
positive.
but
I don't agree.
I
I
know
think
you
it was
don't.
better than
that's
season
why I
2.
had to say it.
No, I thought season 3 was pretty good. It
I'll
kinda-
fight you.
No, I thought season
Go.
2 was. I just don't want
just kidding,
season.
I'm
I
gonna
don't
fight
want
you.
sad Ted Lasso.
No.
But like
The whole series is great, but season 1 was the best.
Oh,
but
my God, so good.
yeah, it was like
So good.
revolutionary because and it wasn't even that good. It was just that somebody was happy
Yes.
and it was
Yes.
family
It was-
friendly.
the glass was half full.
Right.
I had people like at my office who were sports like meathead guys being
Yeah.
like, "Man, that Christmas episode Ted Lasso had me crying," and I'm like, "Who are
Season
you?"
3 where they're in the locker room and they're like talking about show tunes or they're talking about stuff that our dads would have called a certain word, right?
Barbecue sauce.
Like
A bundle of
our,
sticks.
our generation is much
A
more
cigarette in England.
a much more family-oriented society. It's much more about character. Like it's much less about stuff. Like I don't know. I think, and part of the economy, we complain about the economy and how bad it is, and it's not fair. But I think it is making us more character-oriented, like our grandparents.
Well, and it wasn't. So Ted Lasso wasn't preachy either.
Yeah,
right.
It was just authentic.
Yeah,
It was
he
good.
just he preached by doing.
Yeah.
And that was what spoke to it because it wasn't somebody like you know that when we all watch those movies and it comes to that one part in the movie where you can just like feel the character is like getting ready to do like this really big woke speech and
Right.
you're getting condescendingly spoken to like
Yeah, go to the
You
bathroom
mean-
time.
you
yeah,
mean
like there's
the-
that one scene in Barbie where the girl goes off about the patriarchy, and I literally I was like, oh, here we go. Like I just you can
go.
feel it.
Listen to him bragging about seeing current movies.
No, we just watched the Barbie movie, and you were exactly right. The Barbie movie is just like I said, like Porky's was the end result of Animal House, like the Bro movie taken to its logical conclusion.
Yeah.
The Barbie movie is the logical end conclusion of critical theory.
Yes.
It is the politics of it must die in there is no story to it. Tell me the plot. Tell me what the story is there. You can't. It literally
Patriarchy bad.
right. Like I thought it was very clever satire. It was very well done. The set was amazing to look at, but there was no storytelling to it, which is why nobody's going to think about it in 5 years.
Yep.
It's not like Grumpy Old Men, which has like a story where you 30 years later like
Where
I
you
love
still
that.
think, and Margaret is hot.
Why do we watch Planes, Trains, and Automobiles every single year? Because it has such a heartwarming, touching story that has values in it, but it's not like the Barbie movie where everything is in service to the movement, to the message, to the progressive view. And it's totally uninspiring and does nothing to change any minds. It may make people think. I thought it was way better than it was sort of made out to be, but it still wasn't a great movie.
So-
Right, yeah, it had its points.
Yeah.
But it just went off the rails when they were just too busy trying to push something. Yeah.
We
Like, one of
just
the
had
biggest
our-
feminists in my life was like, she was like, "Oh, okay, groundbreaking. The man's an idiot. Groundbreaking. Women,
Yeah.
women
Which
who
i-
are moms are
Which is
worthy."
exactly why Bob Newhart didn't want to have a kid on a TV show because it was
Really?
dad's. Yeah, he was like, he's the as his show comes along in the 70s, and it's just a married couple, no kids, and they're like, all right, well, we need to have you have a kid. And he's like, I love it, sounds great. Who's gonna play Bob? Because I ain't fucking doing it.
Really?
Yeah, because he's I'm not gonna do this show where dad's the idiot, and I'm
Right.
he refused to do it. And that's exactly where where Barbie went later. We were watching Christmas Vacation this year. It's annual tradition.
Yep.
We just wrapped it
Yep.
up,
Classic.
and we're watching that program. And I thought the reason this is so damn relatable because it was made in 89, right? It's the entire month of December. It's the lead up to it, and now I think you and I have had this conversation. We're now in our 40s. Clark Griswold was 47 years old when this show's
Right.
on. It's becoming more relatable
Yeah.
as you go on, and it doesn't say, okay, we're going to take just Christmas and like this day. It takes the season, right? It takes like December 14th through December 25th,
Yeah.
or Christmas Eve, I guess. And it shows everything that's happening in the life. It shows, hey, we're going to work, we're schlepping to work, we're worried about money not coming in, we're worried about these family inconveniences and putting up the lights and dealing with the neighbors. All of these things that you deal with in the holiday season,
It connects to you.
it perfectly connects to the American Christmas experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the reason the movies from the 80s and 90s are the best ever made is that they were trained by the vaudeville generation.
Mm-hmm.
And so the vaudeville generation never really had money because it was all a new industry, new technology. It wasn't advanced. But in vaudeville, you performed 2, 3, 4 times a day or night, every day for 300 days a year. And Bob Hope, Jack Benny, Gracie and Allen, Burns and Allen, they had like these, those old radio shows had like they just had entertainment so finely honed. And then they grew up and kind of became the leaders of Hollywood and then taught that generation of Spielberg and Christopher Columbus and other people. And then in the 80s and 90s, you had the technology settled. You had the wealth to make the movies that you wanted to make. And then when
Somebody
you
gave the keys to John Hughes.
Right.
John Hughes is a huge theme throughout most of what we've just talked about.
Right.
Today.
Oh, absolutely.
You get Hollywood gave people the freedom to experiment. And then when you get to really like the 2000s post-Iraq war, which everything is in service to a message, right or left. Politics now shapes people's views. Those friendships are probably destroyed because of politics. People now select their church based on political views, not based on views of Christ. Like that means you have a golden calf in your life, right? Everything is political now, and so movies now have to fit, Matt Rife, major comedian, never heard of him, big on TikTok, huge female audience, says, you know what, I need more men following me. What's the way I can get a male audience? Well, there's a formula. Let me make a domestic violence joke. Men sure do love that. That really appeals to men, I think. And then let me go and Jordan Peterson cry about cancel culture while I still cash millions of dollars of checks. Like it's now reached like an absurd conclusion on the left and right where it's also watered down that everything is about the message and it's not about the story that you're trying to tell. That's why something like Miss Pat's content reaches people because she's not trying to fit into any stereotype. Like her shows are just authentic and it connects with people, and all these women listen to the podcast because they go, that reminds me exactly how my mom actually talked to me, not how like some TV show that was crafted by some overthinkers who, never grew up the way, they just all grew up in Hollywood and they wrote the TV show because they think that's what a young black female wants to watch, as opposed to a woman who comes along and says, yeah, I am a black mama and I do yell at my kids and I do tell them to fuck off, right? Like, so
It's after 8 o'clock, kids. It's fine.
yeah, I'm just saying it's so. Oh, sorry, I forgot you guys don't curse.
We're in prime time.
But I'm just saying, like, the after the Iraq War, everything kind of became about picking a team in content, in media, in entertainment, in movies, and it drove people away. And so now the only thing you can get is like, well, maybe we should do like a reboot of MASH.
Well, so
Maybe
yeah,
we should do a reboot of this. or that.
everything is a reboot, and it's nobody's making those movies from the 80s and 90s, and even like they really stopped. Like they really stopped when Iron Man came out, and they went comic book movie because they no longer said, "Hey, we're going to focus to an American and a Canadian speaking audience." They said, "We're going to take a movie that we can make one time, and we can spread it across the world, and we can."
They
we
can't
can show,
afford to do anything
we can
else.
show it to everybody else. So your narrow casting of movies has gone away. You have it in podcasting form, you have it in YouTube, and you have it in shows like Ms. Pat Saves the World, but you don't have it in the general audience movies anymore.
No, because they can't afford to do it.
Yeah. So you
They
get
can't
these-
afford to take the risk.
You
They
get the trashy
literally-
Marvel movies.
Yeah, you get what they know they can make money on.
But that's the thing that I disagree now because Disney just showed us they'd lost over $1 billion this year trying to rehash what used to work. Indiana Jones lost them like what 200 something
It was a good
million
movie. It
dollars.
was better than Crystal Skull.
That was
wasn't
not a good movie.
was a
It
good
was
movie.
not better than Crystal Skull.
It
I watched
was.
I will watch Crystal Skull in the
It
movie
lost
theater
them $200
tomorrow.
million.
No.
Marvel's lost them. It was
you're,
the
you're
worst.
talking about
grossing-
people who are stuck in a framework that they can't get out of.
No, but I'm
because they're
saying,
locked in by shareholders.
But that framework though used to work because they did 26 movies for the Marvel universe, but they were all crafting into a story. Right. So yes, it worked, but it was because it was part of something that was more grand. Then you go to the next phase of that, and they lost that storytelling arc because they introduced the multiverse, and now there's no consequences. Oh my gosh, this character died. Oh, just kidding. That was in
Right,
multiverse
yeah.
like 623, right? So you all of a sudden now lose the ability to tell that story, and then you go back. I mean, yeah, like Crystal Skull was garbage, but I mean, that's not even the point so much as people are just tired of seeing the same story just retold in a different way.
Frasier's
just
on the
a-
air again.
Are we just a post movie
Cord
culture
Frasier.
at this point?
What did you say?
I said we could just be a post movie culture.
I don't
I-
think,
I
I
we
don't
have
think
to
we're
be.
there. That
I don't
no.
think I mean maybe like I think you can watch a YouTube video and
We
there's
don't
this guy
need-
named Dean Lantini that I watch that talks about Christian stuff. And his videos are him just talking about characters in like the mega evangelical movement, and it's basically like you're watching a storyteller give his opinion on these characters. It's basically like a movie, but it's just a dude with a DSLR and a mic. Like it's all niching down. The problem with like big broadcast mass media is you're no longer ever going to have what you had in the 80s where you had defined channels. You now have everybody based on their hyper niche every second.
Do you know the
I
one
would
place?
never watch Grand Theft Auto 6 videos.
The one
ever,
place we
right?
get
But
together.
that to use awesome.
5.
The
Grand
one-
Theft Auto 6
the one
is in
place
there.
we get together?
Five, yeah, nerd.
The NFL.
Right, and
We-
that's going away.
Sports is the one place that we all refocus. That's why the Super Bowl is the
and
biggest
it's not
event
going
ever.
to be that
Bingo.
way for much longer because but
Bingo.
but the thing is people are doing storytelling. They're just and they are attracted to storytelling. They want it just within the characters that they want to choose. They're programming their characters. And so Disney can't exist 50 years from now in the same way, 10 years from now in the same way. Like Luca I thought was a good movie, but that Red Panda movie was awful. Like
It wasn't for you.
no, it's awful.
It wasn't
It's
for you.
awful. I think Little Mermaid is an awful movie,
It wasn't for you.
but it's a good story.
Aquafina was great in that movie. That movie wasn't for you. Keep going.
No, Luca, great story. There are
Listen,
defined rules. of
listen,
storytelling.
old white man. That movie wasn't
Right.
made for
No,
you.
It wasn't
you
for
can
you.
dismiss it, but guess what? Audiences agreed with me.
There we go.
And
that's
money's
the-
agreed with
and that's the part that we have to kind of go back to is like it used to be that you would tell a good story and then you were rewarded at the box office, whereas now you kind of expect you're trying to make that formula. It's like
So this is
you're-
why tonight we are announcing that Chris Spangle is starting his own production company, and we are making Uncle Buck 2.
That's right. Well, there's a
Starring
reason.
Chris Spangle.
Ron Milford. All right, shout out to Ron Milford, who's a great dude who lives up in northern Indiana. He watches this podcast every single week.
Absolutely.
Right? He became aware of me through Bob and Tom. Then he started checking out other stuff. But why does he like this podcast? Because he sees people like why does Craig DaCosta watch from Hawaii?
he supports the Brian Nichols show
Because Craig says it reminds me of all the dumb idiots in my town. It's you guys are Mayberry, you're Andy Griffith. That's why that show still works. It's just entertainment has changed to the point now where a guy from I think it's Warsaw, Indiana will watch Newcastle people.
Is it
talk
Wabash
about
or
stuff.
Warbash? Or Warsaw?
Warsaw.
Nobody knows.
War.
It's
But,
impossible to know.
you know, it's not something to be mourned that that Marvel movies are the only movies they can make. It's a great opportunity for you to buy a DSLR and become a character like these two.
Yes.
You know, and
God damn it,
do
I'm
your
genuine.
own content.
Yeah. Walk away. Make your own.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a perfect opportunity for it. There's tons of different venues for you to release your own content.
I don't know
As-
what
content out there.
Harry's watching and talking about half the time in our posts, but we're still friends.
As
Right, yeah.
much as I would like for this to be an old school wall episode on a Saturday morning where we go for 4 hours,
Let's go.
it is a school night. And
I
some
got-
of us,
It is true.
I got yoga
some
at
of us,
5:30.
some of us have work in the morning.
Oh, I'm on vacation for 2 weeks.
I know. I cannot believe. I
You wanna do
messaged
some
Chris
yoga
and I
tomorrow?
said, I don't know what we're going to do this week. Maybe I can get Chris to come out. I said he's going to tell me no because this is his hibernation period. But he instead was just moderately difficult and said, "Oh, I couldn't possibly do a Thursday, but maybe Wednesday." And then we get through Christmas, and I'm like, I did my negotiating on this side with these guys, and I got a Wednesday commitment. And yesterday, Spangle's like, "Oh, is that still on?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then Harry, just out of curiosity, when did he contact you?
Man, was it Sunday?
Yeah.
It was like
All
Saturday.
right.
And honestly, when he messaged me, I even was like, yeah, so like which Wednesday in January? I had it was like, what, this one? I literally, you can just look at the text. It's like, this
I would have loved to not have come here. I would have loved to have stayed home. But as many of you know, I am now married, which means I can no longer relax in my own house. That's not allowed when you're married.
So Newcastle looked appealing.
So true.
Sitting around and watching Hitler documentaries for 2 weeks straight is no longer on
That
the
version
agenda.
of Chris is dead.
That has been murdered. Not dead, murdered.
Sad.
Brutalized.
Sad.
Oh, what are you doing up there? I need help cleaning the house. Well, why are you so grumpy all the time? I don't know. Maybe it's because you won't let me watch Monk and play my video games
See?
by myself.
That's why you
All
gotta
right.
get a smoker. Be outside, chopping wood all the time.
You've got to choose a side.
Coming out
I
here
had-
now was my hibernation because I got an hour to myself.
Well,
Yeah, quite
hey.
a bit more. You were at Pizza King at 4:45, and it's 9:30 now.
I love my wife. She's very good about
he
it.
was eating lunch with the 4 o'clock senior citizens crowd.
I am
Same 1
joking.
hour.
I love my wife. She
He's
lets
told
me
he's
do
very
what I want.
happy.
But
Some
there is
people-
a grain of truth in it when you have a family and you've got a wife. Like things are different than like 5 years ago where I could just sit for 2 weeks and not answer the phone and not go anywhere. And so something like this is fun. but-
So we are at the point in the show where we do our final thoughts. Christy Avery is politicking for 4 hours.
I know,
4
no.
hours. 4 hours. Christy, here's how you get 4 hours. You press rewind and you start from the beginning, and you catch the hidden nuggets in
How
here
long have we
because
been going?
because they were 7:44 is
7
when we
hours.
We're
started.
an hour 40, and I think
Yeah.
we were around 30 minutes on our Patreon part. Our Patreon segment was pretty
I'm
long.
definitely tired.
You
not
look
even
at
I'm
it.
feeling it.
surprised.
I can see it in your
I can
face.
see you too, old man. You and me are both
Three
are like.
Diet Cokes
That's
and
it.
Pizza King.
All right, real quick. I'm
That's
trying to
why
work
I'm
my way into
wired.
final thoughts, but this,
I'm trying to get out of here before my house alarm sets at 10. I don't know if I can remember the code.
You haven't been out that long, huh?
Dakota will be sleeping in the truck tonight. Chilly.
don't let him lie to you. He gets called out for late night calls all the time. He makes money. Final thoughts, Harry. What have we learned today? What have we forgotten? I know that both Dakota and Brian rudely interrupted you many times, so please finish your thoughts. Tell us about that Cadillac. Did it have leather or cloth, vinyl? Well, tell us. Finish your thoughts. Let's clean things up tonight.
First off, Cadillacs are junk cars. Don't buy people Cadillacs. Any dad out there who bought their son a Cadillac for a first car, it's because you secretly hate them or want them to understand why engineers suck. You know you are. Anyways, I like to also give a shout out to honorary key holders like Christy out there. Thank you for listening. And it's low key on the Wheel of Change Network, not low key wall anymore. It's low key on the wall network. Okay.
Okay.
We're just low key.
I
Just
didn't
low
approve
key.
that.
The show's just low key.
Sorry, it's just low key on the on
Blame
the
him.
network.
He said it wrong the first
Yeah,
time.
it's-
I didn't approve this change.
That's
so
the- that's
you
the-
didn't include
that's
that.
Is
the-
that, why, is that why there's confusion?
That's the name. Sorry, that's the name of the
You
show.
know what? You know what the picture should be? The little logo should be the key from his old apartment.
I am messing with the other yoga because I am creating like another podcast here coming up because I'm separating the two podcasts, going in two different directions.
You divorcing yourself?
I'm divorcing the
So you're
two
gonna have
co-hosts, so
one
I'm
low
taking
and key.
Reinhold to the left and taking him so we just talk politics, and then kicking
Taking him more to the left.
yes,
Good
and
God
then
help us.
and then kicking Vincent to the right,
doesn't need
and
help.
we're gonna do like more of a culture-oriented podcast. Yeah, so
I haven't been invited on Low Key Wall on the Wall Network
just low key on the wall network.
in like a year and a half.
Oh,
It's been a long time.
We because
It's been
one,
apparently
we
maybe it was
have,
because I serial mispronounced the name of the program.
yeah,
Program.
Program.
wow, yeah, a little
Make
bit.
it down a little bit
Are we in?
Newcastle.
Are we in Soviet Russia?
The boys didn't play well Friday night, but maybe we can get a better program next year.
You know the YouTube thing that's been really fun is that somebody got
Those are called the programs. Never mind.
Totally different than
somebody started a YouTube channel with James Carville where he just stands in front of a whiteboard and explains Louisiana history.
Really?
Yes.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, it is. He is just spilling the tea on because this dude from the new Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson,
Yeah.
is a Louisiana guy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And
He
that
just said the new
triggered
pecker of the house.
the new pecker of the house. That triggered James Carville, and something snapped. So he got some college kid to just turn the camera on, and he explains the world in the eyes of James Carville.
You got to send
and
me the link.
and,
Yeah,
and
I need that
Spengler
one
is going
to
to
that.
absolutely adore it.
I love
That-
James.
Yeah, so it's like
That's
there's like 2 or
awesome.
3 hours of him just standing in front of a map explaining who's related to who and who did what and what university was what. just absolutely spilling it. Anyway,
James
Three
Carville
months
has
of
a
content
great
right there. 3 months of
cameo
content
in
right
Wedding
there. Thank
Crashers,
you.
by the way.
I believe he does.
He
The
does.
senator,
Him and John McCain.
Yeah, he's
both
so
in, Wedding
James
Crashers.
Carville's a national treasure.
So low key on the
low
wall.
key on the wall.
Wall network.
Network.
On the wall network. That's
Low key wall.
I'm gonna
It's
write
just
this
low-key.
down in
No, it's
pen.
low key. Just low key.
We'll
You're-
discuss
you're
this
gonna
on
get-
Chris
You're
Bangle.
gonna get in trouble.
Your year-end interview is not going to go well with this attitude, Harry.
It's fine. It's
Golly
it's
jeepers.
Got quite the
Spangle.
attitude, Harry.
I have well, it's reason why I'm so confident in it is because in my contract I have an automatic renewal for 2025. So I'm golden to that. Automatic renewal.
I got to speak to my nieces about this.
Yeah, and you know, it's
Harry's much better at negotiating
That's
than you
right.
are. You had no chance.
My 9-year-old niece runs this network.
yeah, it's fun.
Do you- Are you
What?
gonna make some time for dear leader here? Or are you gonna use all the time up?
I'm-
Dakota's gonna turn
I
into a
thought
pumpkin.
about just filibustering, just taking it all, but no, that's pretty much it. You take it.
Filibuster.
The gentleman from McCordsville will cede his time.
I am not from McCordsville.
Fountain Town? What is it?
Wow,
It's a secret.
Fortnite?
A great video game.
I hurt my
I
feelings.
crank it nice.
Harry
It's
lives
like
there, yeah.
nobody's business.
Lawrence.
Yeah, just keep going. It's fine. It's fine. You know,
I don't
it's
have
fine.
anything. No, I'm not going to make it home to watch myself on TV. But you can.
Wow.
Set your
Lifestyles.
VCR.
BT.
That's the greatest first world problem that's ever been
Yeah.
spoken on this show before. I'm not going to get home to watch myself
Just
on television.
ridiculous. Whoever talked and took us on all these misdirections.
We've had some former politicians in here, but that's the most entitled statement I've ever heard.
I know.
I knew him when he scrubbed toilets in the post office, and I knew him when his Chrysler 200 was on blocks.
You once said, "Hey, I'm in town.
Because
you
he
want to go get
loves
pizza?"
living in Indy.
Yeah, the pizza lord.
He goes, "You want to go to get pizza?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to go get pizza." And I said, "I'm going to be honest with you. I have $7.50 to my name." And he said, "Oh, that's fine. Yeah, we'll go." And then when the bill came, I gave him $7.50, and he looked at me and he said, "Where's the rest?" And I go, "I wasn't lying."
This is why I have continued to contribute $7 a month to the Wall Patreon for 9 years now.
Jeremiah Moral Pizza Society. Yeah, so check out all my projects, chris-spangle.com. That's my link tree. You can find all the different shows and lots of new, fun, cool things coming this year that I think are fun and cool. I don't care if any of you do either, but we'll see. Maybe you will. Maybe you won't.
Like many young women on Instagram, check the link in his bio.
That's please. chris-spangle.com.
Only Chris.net. So, Zach, has this been all you hoped for?
We haven't had a show this long since Travis White was in here wearing 18 different hats. Yeah, this has been entertaining just to sit back and watch.
Good old Travis. How you doing, buddy?
If you don't love on Brenda Grider right now,
Yeah, I was gonna say I that has come up because she was in the chat earlier. You guys were talking about small town. Brenda Grider, she's only got less than a week left. She's the
treasurer.
Clerk treasurer. Stepping away from that. One of the hardest working people in Newcastle. One of those people that does a lot of things that make the town a lot better. She was kind of instrumental in the big bike giveaway. They gave away like 200 bikes at a Broad Street cruise a couple months ago. So we had a local family member of a fireman diagnosed with cancer, and Brenda shows up with a cavalcade of people, and they got a check, they got some Christmas gifts, and they got an all expenses paid trip to Disney. Just delivered to their front door. I also know that Brenda, she messaged me the week before Christmas, and she's like, "Hey, your kid got a bike, didn't he? Or did he get a bike? Because my son's bike was stolen off the porch." And I said, "Yes, my son was taken care of." And she's okay. I'm working some magic. Just wanted to check in. I noticed that the Broad Street Cruise people worked with Pointer Brothers, and they were delivering bikes on Christmas Eve, I think, to kids who didn't know that they had bikes coming. And they weren't like nothing to knock on Walmart. They weren't Walmart bikes.
they weren't Huffies.
No, they were like custom painted Pointer Brothers bikes that were like sweet looking. So Brenda's been working, and she's also a prime Santa's helper for all the kids that mail stuff to Santa. So just small town. Brenda's one of those people that makes small town Newcastle great. And she got a standing ovation at her last city council meeting, and she deserved it for all the stuff she does out of the city council. That's the least of the work she does for the community is in her elected position. So kudos to Brenda. I'm not sure if she's still listening, but she should.
Maybe
find out
past
about
her
it.
bedtime.
Yeah, it might be past her. But she
Me
should
too,
take
Brenda.
whatever vacation time she had, and just burn it.
Dakota, the youngest person in the room, is
Yeah.
exhausted.
Yeah.
That's true.
Dakota, when I
But
met
that's all
him, when I met Dakota, he was 77 years old on the inside. It's
And
only
I could
gotten
see
worse.
it in,
He's all like
in
his-
Jackson's eyes.
He's on like his
Jackson
third
has
Buick.
inherited it too.
Yeah.
Jackson's 3 going on 47. He's like, I guess we'll have pizza now.
Yeah. I mean, Dakota's been through. He's been through Buicks, not a Buick.
No, I've only had one Buick.
You threw that phrase, but that's all I'd say was shout out to Brenda. And now on to whatever Dakota's final thought, which will be probably good night.
We're just gonna skip right over
Hey,
Brian.
Dakota-
Zach says, "Well, we're done with
Yeah.
Dakota, make it quick.
Brian."
I cede my time to Brian.
I'm getting tired now.
I've grown quite the
Brian,
women.
you have no more than 10 minutes to tell us you love us.
I do love you guys. I would just reiterate the point Harry made about cybersecurity threats. So one of the things I'm doing here locally in Newcastle is I partner with a company that does cybersecurity penetration testing services for small and medium businesses. I knew I couldn't say it without getting him to giggle. But no, it's going in 2024. A lot of companies, especially if you are in a regulated industry. So I do a lot of work with like credit unions, banks. Brian Nichols Consulting. I'm located right here, literally next door on Ray Street. So yeah, happy to help. And
Somewhere north of Q.
Did you say
for the
pen
long-term
test?
listener.
Pen test, yeah. I want to say penetration test one more time for Chris, just because, just to get him to.
If you need
giggle.
penetrated, call Brian
Yeah,
Nichols.
yeah, there you go.
765
Now, will I give you a
529.
shout before or after the penetration test?
You know, it depends on how much we find, Chris.
During.
Really, it depends on how much we find. No, other than that, though, no. Brian Nichols Show. You can find that wherever you listen to podcasts. I've been doing the show since 2018, so I got 800 episodes. It's wild. And other than that, no, I love being a part of this great network. It's good to do these in-person conversations. So usually my conversations are like on a computer screen. So
Isn't it nice to get invited on a show once in a while?
sure is, Jer.
Name me a Saturday
First
where you're
off.
ever in town.
Yes, right. You're never in town.
I
We
did
invited you.
not-
I
you.
did
You
not
invited me
ask
on
for
a
the finger
Friday night
pointing.
at 9 o'clock.
That's his fault.
That is my
And you invited me the day
That was
before,
his.
saying you qualified your ask, saying I know it's probably a long shot.
I'd forgotten. We decided on Wednesday.
I was
And
so
then-
upset.
Friday came along and he goes, "Did you invite Brian?" I was like, "Shit."
I was so upset.
And I would have been able to probably figure a way to make it work, but then I was like, just
It was-
24 hours, 9-month-old, just no.
I get it. I mean, I have a younger child, but I made it. It's okay.
It was a Brian episode.
Congratulations.
We needed
You did.
Brian for that episode.
Ten-
Dakota,
minutes
what
away. Sorry.
what have we learned today?
Nothing much.
Dakota, it was entirely a waste of time. I'm sorry I was here.
Dakota is struggling to stay awake
I'm
right now.
just tired.
He
That's all I
ate
can say.
he ate 7 chocolates and
I
then
ate a
fell asleep.
A bunch of chocolate.
You're literally 4 years old.
Tired.
A finger
Last
dip
night
of
we
honey.
had last night we had a candy party. Reagan and Matthew went to bed at like 8, and so Eleanor and I stayed up till like 11, and she ate more candy than she's ever eaten in her life. And then she's running around. Can I go to bed now? That's exactly what happened with Dakota right now.
That's exactly what's happened to me. I've been up since 4:30 though.
Same.
It's just the way it is. I'm tired.
Should do more yoga.
I was
Yeah,
up
why
at
don't you work
4:30
out?
exercising. That's what I was doing.
Same.
So
You ex-
I'm just saying.
we're exercising all
your
alone?
point is
All right, so next week's show, we will be here on Thursday. We will be here on Thursday. We have secured an interview with former state representative and new town councilman for Louisville, Indiana, Tom Saunders, the Honorable Tom Saunders.
He got promoted.
He is on his book tour. He and Daryl Radford have written a book. It's his tell-all from his time in the State House. It's going to be a must-have for Henry County historians and those interested in what has happened over the time Tom was in the State House. The man went from being a janitor in the county courthouse to being a state legislator for over 25 years. So I'm excited to have them come and tell stories and see where it goes.
Is Daryl coming too?
And Daryl Radford will be here as well. So it's going to be a great show. I hope Dakota can stay up for it. It'll come on around 7 o'clock. So it'll be an hour and a half, 2 hours after the sun went down. It's going to be a struggle.
It always is.
Jeremiah's wife